which is amazing, because then that gives us freedom to talk about everything and anything under the sun without worrying about our sponsors dropping us and jeopardizing the production of the show. The listeners, you, are directly funding this thing and keeping it going and helping me create it. All the feedback from you guys and just helping me grow this thing together has been fucking amazing, and I appreciate it. So what I'd like to try to do is help out the people that are helping this show or supporting this show. So my way of trying to do that would be, if you do feel like you'd like to support the show, if it brings you any value and you enjoy it and you want to help keep it going in the production of it, don't feel obligated, but if you do and you want to kick in, that's amazing. And the best way to do that would be to purchase some All I Need gear, whether you try out one of our decks or our apparel from your local skate shop, or if you live near a shop or don't live near a shop and you don't have access to it, we have you covered with our online skate shop at allineedskate.com. And my way to kind of repay for you guys keeping this show going is to give you guys a shout out once you cop something. So if you cop something from your local skate shop, just take a photo of whatever it is you purchased and tag us at All I Need Skate. It can be on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or even YouTube. And then if you cop something from our online skate shop, there's a section when you're checking out, it says notes, and you can just write anything in there, whatever you'd like me to shout out. If you want me to say a riddle, or you got a joke, or if it's within reason, I'll read it. It can be a little risque if you just want to laugh, make a joke, make me read something ridiculous. As long as it's not really hurting anyone else, then I'm down. Even if it's about me, be funny. That would be cool. So with that being said, I want to give a shout out to Trey Queen from Norfolk, Virginia, and he writes, "I've been stoked on your podcast for a while now. Thanks for what you do, homie. Shout out Cardinal Skate Shop in Norfolk, VA for keeping it real and keeping it local." Hell yeah, I appreciate that, Trey. And hell yeah, big shout out to Cardinal Skate Shop, man. You guys have been holding it down for a long time, and I'm sure you made a difference in the skate scene down there and helped a lot of people out, and I'm sure you guys got a vibrant community, so I'd love to go down there and check it out. I believe in Carl Barad's episode, we talked about Cardinal Skate Shop quite a bit. Let me make sure I cover that. I wanted to shout out the New England Am. It's coming up November 4th and 5th. It will be at the Edge Indoor Skate Park, which is one of the biggest skate parks here in New England, 30,000 square feet. We have multiple divisions, 14 and under, 15 and over. We're introducing our Ladies Jam as well this year, and we got our Skate Shop Battle. You can pre-register for the New England Am now if you want to sign up for either the 14 and under, 15 and over, or the Ladies Jam. You can pre-register at allineedskate.com. Just click on the store link at the top of the page. It'll take you there. You'll pre-register $25 for a 2-day event, which is an amazing price. You get access to the park for those 2 days, and there's actually an after party in between as well, and you'll lock in your spot and save it. So I'd suggest if you're going to come to the event, do that. That's the best way to sign up. We'll have your name, and all you have to do is show up. We'll give you your bracelet, and you can get to warming up or skate in the park or whatever you want to do. And it's going to be sick. I'm really excited for that. The last 3 years have been amazing. This year will be nothing short of that. It's always like a great memory, and we filmed the whole event, the whole 2-day event, so it's pretty rad to go back and look at them all from each year. I think that's it. Our guest today is the infamous Leticia and Birdo from Consolidated Skateboards. We talked about everything and anything under the sun, which I really enjoyed.
Thrive, prosper. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I gotta get on it.
I just love the skating and the scene.
Rain, go away. All I need is a skateboard today.
This is the Shetler Show featuring professional skateboarder, podcaster, and All I Need Skate founder, Anthony Shetler.
So it was hot. Everyone was doing it.
Yeah, they're looking for their dad's fucking metal skateboards in the garage.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Get on this thing.
Each episode brings you amazing discussions with interesting people from all walks of life.
Kind of when skateboarding clicked for me, and you learn some tricks or whatever, and you get that appreciation from your peers, you know? The other skaters are like, holy shit, like, yeah, dude, that's rad.
Admiration.
Yeah, the admiration or the affirmation.
Real, recognized real.
If I didn't experience those crazy moments in my life, then these great moments would never be as great as they have been.
Honestly, like for me, I just loved it. Like I saw those dudes, I saw those videos, and I was like, holy fuck, this is sick.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
Thank you both for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for hitting
thanks
us
for
up.
having us.
And it's pronounced Leticia, right?
Well, no, I've Americanized it to Leticia. My mom calls me Leticia, but
What's the nationality?
it's Mexican. So, but yeah, so I go by Leticia.
Nice. All right, so I'm gonna go back and forth between you two. I'll already do an introduction before we get into it, so people will come in knowing who's on the show and whatnot. Can I call you Birdo? Awesome.
When I say Steve, I mean Birdo. Sometimes I just have always called him Steve, so he's Birdo.
Okay.
Just so
All right, we're gonna start at the top. I'll start with Birdo first. When did you start skating?
Let's see. I was probably around 8 years old, and it was just fucking around on like a banana board. And luckily for me, we had this old hippie dude that lived down the street. His name was Craig Corson in the neighborhood, and he had a quarter pipe in his driveway. So, you know, we were just little kids, and we'd go and we'd skate down there, and we'd watch him and his friends skate. And, you know, they're just trying to do wheelers. And because this is back probably, you know, in the 70s. And so that was it right there. That's what turned me on. And then I think my first real skateboard was a fiberglass Z-Flex board.
Nice.
I remembered this place called the Skateboard Wizard was the name of the shop where I got it, and it was sick. They drill the holes, you know, and mount the trucks, and you know, I can almost remember the smell of the shop.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty much when the love affair began, and you know, and then just skating with friends throughout the years, and friends in the neighborhoods building ramps, and you know, one of my best friends had a ramp in his backyard, and so it was on.
Awesome. And what about you? How did you get into skateboarding?
I never skateboarded. I've never skateboarded. My love affair started with skateboarding with my brothers, who both skateboarded. So then I'd kind of tag along with them, and throughout the years, you know, living with them, and then all my boyfriends always guaranteed surfed or skated. And then a long time ago, Birdo and I started dating, and then
we don't now, but we dated.
Yeah, let's clarify it.
Yeah,
we don't date anymore.
Well, you guys are, at least you're mature enough to still be friends.
Works through it for
There's
sure.
a mutual separation, so that was cool.
Were your brothers shredding?
What, my brothers, yeah, my oldest one used to skate with Birdo in high school, and so yeah, they both shredded, surfed too, so it was good. It was a great childhood. You know, we grew up in a neighborhood where, you know, it was kind of a more like affluent neighborhood, and then parents would leave town all the time, and so pools would get drained all the time, and we'd have keg parties, and just hundreds of people would show up, and parents were away in Europe for like a month, you know.
This is Southern California?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
It was Saratoga, California.
Nice.
And yeah, one guy, Eric, he was epic. His parents went to Europe, and he had a party at the house, and we all started talking about it. We're like, let's drain the pool, and so, you know, we're all buzzed and hooking up hoses, and the next day it had only gone down like 2 inches. So he's like, I got my parents' credit card, and they went down to the rental place and rented a pump and just pumped the pool down the street. And the people from the city or whatever showed up and were like, what's going on? You can't do this. And by that time, we're like, it's already empty.
They flooded the house, their neighbor's house and stuff. And they're like, sorry.
Yeah.
He was epic for
just
sure.
across their front yard or whatever. But so then that summer, it was like, it was on. It was just.
But like people, like I remember Steve Caballero and all that, because he was from San Jose, so just seeing him, at parties and events and stuff, and the whole San Jose crew, like Tim and Gavin O'Brien and Corey and Meekster, like.
What's the industry like then? This is like formative years, I imagine. It's been around a little bit at this time.
Yeah, so this was early '80s. So yeah, and I wasn't in the industry at that time. So it wasn't until the later '80s, probably '87, that I ended up getting a job working at NHS, and I had moved to Santa Cruz after high school and was working at a pizza place and wanted to work at NHS. I'd go in there if my board broke, and have warranty it or whatever. And I just wanted to work there so bad. So I'd go every week and bug them like, hey, you got a job for me? You got a job for me? And then pretty soon they said, we got to shut this kid up. And so they gave me a job. And I worked there for, I think 5 years. Till '92, and then that's when I left and started Consolidated. But it was really awesome working there because I started like the lowest rung job you could have there, which was printing wheels at night, and it was freezing cold in there, and I remember it was like chemically, and you just we're just flipping wheels over all night long, and we didn't get paid much, so we had peanut butter and jelly on the shelves. But it was insane. Break time, we'd all skate around, and then the dude in shipping was like, when are you going to come work for me? And I remember my boss, this dude, Bio Bob, who's epic, he was pissed. He's like, God, every time I get a good employee, you assholes come steal them away. So, but, I wanted out. Running the wheel crew at night was like not that awesome.
Yeah.
So then I did shipping, and then I hurt my back, and they ended up putting me in customer service, and I would like drive around to shops around the country, and then I did credit and collections and like accounting stuff, and so it was really sick because I got to learn all this stuff, which I didn't know at the time, but it was what kind of gave me some confidence to be like, hey, I can do my own thing, and it was around the era too when Rocco was doing World Industries, and Rocco was rad in that he empowered, I felt like, people like me to start their own thing. He was like, I'm a skateboarder, I can do this shit, because going into it, it's like, you're just a kid and you just want to be around skateboards, and and these guys are the businessmen, and we're just skateboarders, and we just want to work around skateboards. And then Rocco kind of changed the whole thing of like, hey, you're not just kids, like you can do this shit. And he was a rad example, and kind of, I think, helped give us the confidence.
Yeah, that's rad, because there's like a huge population of people that get into skateboarding today for sponsorship. They want someone to make the dream happen for them or give it to them. And it's like, usually it doesn't work that way. Because even if you do get that, and you get sponsorship for a while, they can easily take away your stature or whatever things you've earned with those brands, Especially if they're only about numbers, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like a valuable experience at NHS. I know there's a lot of kids that would be fucking hyped about that situation. Because you could do that for anything. Like, you could do all that work for, like, a company that makes fucking paper or dildos or anything, But to do it for skateboarding is rad.
Yeah, and sometimes I try to tell people, my personal belief is if you can get in your head, if it's something you want to do, you can get a job doing it, it's like they're paying you to learn. A a lot of people go that you pay to go to school to learn stuff, but it's like, you know, if you can shift it around in your head, it's like you're like, shit, they're paying me to teach me all this shit.
Yeah. You got to have vision and focus and an idea of where you want to go with it. A lot of people are just lost and caught in the inertia and momentum of life, and they don't even think about doing something on their own, which is kind of rough, you know. But so sorry to get sidetracked, but so how did Consolidated is formed, and how did you guys were already together at this point?
Yeah, I was just a girlfriend at the time. I didn't have anything to do with them leaving to start Consolidated. I just remember it was so funny. Like, we were so young, you know. I was like 21, 22 or something, and you were 24, and he's like, "Okay, I got to meet you." He's like, but we have to do it somewhere where we can't talk. You know, where no one can hear us talk. And I'm like, "Okay." And I remember we met at this little restaurant, and he's like, "Okay, check it out." And he's like, "I think I'm going to start my own company," you know? And I was like, "Rad, do it." You know, like, with not even, you know, you don't realize, like, the hard work that it's going to take, you know? But you're just like, I was like, yeah, go for it. I think it's a great idea, you know? And then these guys just...
So, yeah, at the time, it was me, and I was running Speed Wheels at the time. And then Steve Keenan, he was a photographer for Thrasher, and then he worked at NHS and ran SMA and Crux. And then Moish, who was an artist there, all three of us bailed, and Alan Peterson and Karma, Corey Chrysler, and Jason Jesse came with us to ride for us. So we broke away. There was some drama a little bit. I had taken over Speed Wheels, and the dude that was in the spot before me was kind of, you know, it felt like he was getting pushed out. And so he had some resentments or whatever. So when we left, I remember NHS called and they said, "Hey, you know, if you could like not let the cat out of the bag, because we have a whole bunch of these boards and we want to sell them." And I was like, "No problem. I mean, it's going to be months until we're up and going, and you know, don't worry. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag or whatever." But this dude that had the position before and was bitter, caught wind of what we were doing. So he called all the distributors and like let the cat out of the bag. Yeah, he let the cat out of the bag. So then distributors were like putting the brakes on orders, and so
what a dick.
I know, but whatever. It was his shit he had going on, I guess.
Why did Consolidated form? Why did you decide to do your own thing?
Well, for me personally, you know, I had foregone going to college, right? So. And I just, you know, I was working at a pizza place, and college was in the back of my mind. I got a job at a skateboard place. And so after 5 years, I'm thinking, shit, you know, is this going to be a career for me? Or am I going to go back to school and do something else, you know? And so I had sat down with the dudes at NHS and said, "Hey, you know, I'm down to turn this wheel thing around, but, you know, I want my pay to reflect my efforts." And they're like, "Well, how do you propose that?" And I said, you know, like royalties, and we argued about it. They said, "Well, we can't do that because as volumes go up, costs go up," which was kind of like bullshit. It's kind of like as volumes go up, costs go down. But regardless, I'm like, okay, well, then we can do a sliding scale, you know, like a quarter per wheel up to this many, you know, 10,000 to 50,000 a dime, over 50,000 a nickel or whatever. And they said, "No, we can't do that." And at the time, I felt like kind of like shit. I felt cornered. I felt like, you know, there's this ceiling on my future. And so, and they were kind of downsizing at the time. I don't know, you know, exactly what the things that they were going through, but I think Keenan felt kind of the same at that time. So we had just decided, hey, you know, we can do this shit. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. It's rad to, like, instead of just you know, a lot of people just attack other brands and feel slighted and they fucking badmouth them and shit, and then they never do their own thing. But to like have that and then to go, no, we'll just do our own thing this way, the way we want to do it, is fucking awesome. That's the way to do it. It's like putting your money where your mouth is, you know?
Yeah, we were never angry. There was nothing. There was nothing personal. You know, they had accused me at one point of stealing shit. I never stole anything from there. I didn't even take my Rolodex. Like when I left, it was like, you know, I'm gonna start my own thing, and there was nothing bitter. I wasn't like mad at them or anything. It was like, hey, I understand your guys' deal, but I got my own deal, and I want to shape my future and not, you know.
Yeah.
To shape it. So, anyways, you know, it got kind of bad. Just I think because we took riders, and it's always weird.
Yeah.
And some pretty good ones too.
Yeah, some pretty rad riders.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier when you were naming off some of those dudes, that's like right when I got into skating. My first board I think was a SMA, and like Karma and Alan and like your guys' team and the videos, and that was like right when I pretty much found skating was right then, and that was some of the best memories of skateboarding for me. I wanted to ask you, Leticia, about being the girlfriend and him saying, yeah, I want to start a skateboard company, and you don't even skate, so, and you were just down. That's awesome, because I think people have a misconceived notion about skateboard pros and companies making tons of money and it being like, you were just down, huh? You didn't have a clue. Because it's just a lot of hard work, and it's like, you have your effort match and pay is like very seldom that it happens, I feel.
Yeah, no, I never even, I just didn't even think about it. I mean, I guess maybe because my world was surrounded with skateboarding before him too, so it's not like it was something new and I was like, what are you doing? It was just like, I loved everything about skateboarding, you know, even though like, you know, because back then, you know, I can't even think of one girl that skateboarded, you know, back then, but we all wanted to hang out with skateboarders, you know, and so for me, yeah, it was like, that sounds awesome to have your own thing and do it, and yeah, you guys should go for it, you know?
Sick, fuck yeah. Because I always look around and I see like brands and stuff of people that start and they don't skate, and they're more doing it for profit these days, and I'm like, they're so fucked. How are they gonna compete with like someone who really loves skating? You know, like I see a lot of brands and they just crumble after a while. They come out with a lot of money and marketing dollars and a bunch of people, but there's no one that really like is a lifelong skater. And then all the brands that get bought up by non-skate companies, and they do it for a little bit, and then when the numbers aren't in their favor, it gets bought and sold, and it's like, yeah, it's weird that you're in the middle of it, but it's sick that skating was in your life even before you guys met. That makes more sense to me. You're in Southern California. Again, I'm on the East Coast. So out here, it's like we don't have as much industry or stuff. When you guys were talking about in the beginning, that's what I was kind of prying at, was like on the East Coast in the 80s, there was very little going on, you know? Like it was rough. But Southern California is the mecca, huh?
Well, we're NorCal.
Yeah,
oh, nice. Okay.
So, but NorCal had its own, for sure, scene. Yeah. You know, I mean, even in my own class, you know, we had a couple guys, you know, like Doug Smith, Brad Boardman, like all these guys, you know, when I was going to school with them, it was like they were getting float and they were getting free stuff, and that was cool, you know. And so, yeah, so my whole life, ever since I was a grom, you know, just I was surrounded by skateboarding.
Yeah, and it's funny, you're right, dude. The first girl skateboarder I really knew about was Alyssa Steamer, you know? She was like the only one. She's putting out video parts, killing it, like. And nowadays, it's awesome. There's so many girls getting into it.
I just look at them and I just go, whoa. I mean, because the slams that you take and stuff, you know. Yes, I did try it once, actually, not that long ago, and it didn't go that well for me.
She was on Hall of Meat for slamming.
You were?
It was so bad. I went to, you know, this is just like a few years ago. We went to... did a little tour with Roberto Aleman and another writer, and we were in Roberto's hometown. He has a mini ramp, and I was like, I'm going to try it. And Roberto tried talking me out of it, but he's all, but let me get the camera just in case, you know?
Holla me.
So just did everything that I shouldn't have done, and whatever.
Lean forward, drop it in.
And so, but it was rad, because like, it hurt bad, you know, but it was like, I was being tough, you know, and then it wasn't until I saw like Roberto and this other guy Alliance faces, and they were just like, their eyes were just like popping out of their faces, And then that's, it's just the total little kid scenario where you just see their faces and you see like, oh, whoa, something happened. And all of a sudden, then I just start crying, And but it was cool. Roberto's like, okay, you're sleeping in my room tonight, because I got to make sure that, you don't have a concussion or something. And so throughout the night, like he'd like flick on the light and I just like flash him the peace sign and be like, okay, she's good, So
he's the man. Might I say, Roberto's the man. I've been over. We did a skate trip. He's in Spain, right?
Yeah. He lives in Barcelona with his girlfriend.
Okay, yeah. When I was riding for Birdhouse, we did a trip to Portugal and Spain, and we hung out with Roberto. He's the man.
Yeah, he's the raddest dude.
Solid.
How did he become a part of the brand?
He started off with we had a Spanish distributor, this guy Luis, who just did so much for skateboarding, and he was just he went by NorCal Distribution. So he carried all the deluxe brands and Thrasher and us and I'm sure NHS and he was just so down. Like there's so many writers that have so many stories with because of him, because they would come and visit him and he would just treat him like royalty. And anyways, he had this guy Roberto and he's like he wants to write for you guys, and so he sent us a sponsor me tape or whatever. We're like yeah this guy's good, and then all of a sudden one thing led to another and we were doing this tour and I told the distributor, I'm like, if you fly him out then we'll take care of him out here. And the next thing you know, the guy's on a plane, knows no English, zero English, and he's like, all of a sudden he's just in the van with like all his idols, and ever since then it's like never looked back, like never and that was like maybe 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah, he is awesome. It's funny, skateboarders will do that. They'll just go and take a chance. I've known a lot of skateboarders that just uproot their whole lives and just do it like with no baggage or not, almost like a homeless person, and then find a place where they fit in, and because there's a community in skateboarding, it works. It's like magic somehow.
Yeah, it was funny. The first time he came here and, because I would like kind of help him out because I knew Spanish and stuff, and I'd kind of be the translator or whatever. And this one day he was like, I think I'm gonna be fine. I think I'm good. I'm gonna go get food by myself. And I was like, are you sure? You're gonna be okay? And he's like, no, I'm good. I got this. And he comes back a little bit later and he's all, I found the best restaurant. He's like, and it's so cheap. And we're like, really? What is it? He's like, I don't know. There's like this dog, and you can get burritos for $1. And he's trying to explain to us, and we're like, a restaurant that has burritos for $1. And then he's like, yeah, something about like chalupa or something. We're like, Taco Bell?
He discovered Taco Bell.
Like he was like so stoked. He's on. They speak Spanish, so I could talk to them.
He's right. It is cheap though. It's very affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's got a good sense of humor too. Because I remember hanging out with him, and I was much younger at the time, and I could only catch like he talks fast, and I could only catch every other word, but I could tell he had some wit to him, and he has a little humor. Cracked me up all the time. Once I caught on to what he was saying, I was like, this guy's the best guy ever. He's hilarious.
Yeah. He's solid for sure.
All right, so I want to kind of get into the thick of it now. Let me kind of get into it. So you started the brand. How do you go about getting the art made? Are you guys either you can draw, or did you find an artist?
Well, when it started, we had Moish Brenman, who was our artist, and he's unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But yeah, he was amazing. He worked at NHS, and I think for the most part, for a number of years, we always had like an in-house artist. So what we like to do was have the writers. Like I wasn't really into like series that the writers weren't stoked on. So I always liked it when the writers would work with the artist and like figure out what you want. This is your board. It should be something you're stoked on. Sometimes if they couldn't think of anything, which is a lot of times is the case, I don't know, I don't care. The artist would come up with stuff, but it was the best when when the writers would work with the artists and come up with something that they're psyched on.
Yeah, I agree. That is the best. And I've dealt, like, I do deal with that now. Like with my team dudes, is I try to get them into it because I'm like, let's talk about this. Let's start kicking ideas around. That's like the hardest part, But once you get the ball rolling, then it's like, okay, we got this.
Yeah, you start getting into it and like, yeah, and then this and that.
Do you guys? So what was the initial direction with Consolidated, as far as like, what are we trying to do?
I think we just initially when I left with Steve Keenan, we did it with lots of like text ads. Keenan was he was really like philosophical, and so he'd write out these things, and there was like around the time of the Rodney King riots, and he would kind of associate it with skateboarding, and so we had kind of these lot of text ads. They're kind of deep, and then he ended up getting married and had kids, and his wife wanted him to make more money, and he ended up leaving, and I took over, and that's kind of like when Leticia came in and started working there and doing the books and sales and stuff like that. But I always had kind of a more relaxed approach to it, more humor, and like, I like to joke a lot more. So
butthole face.
Yeah, congratulations, it's a man, and that was more my style.
Yeah, that direction, I always love that direction. Just complete and utter humor, but with some grossity or some stretch to it that you're like, what the fuck? You guys are good at that, for sure.
Yeah, it's fun. That's part of for me, like, it keeps it going is, even for me that, I'm 50 and I'm 3 back surgeries deep, I'm not skating, like I did before. If I do, it's to the store to get something. But what keeps me going a lot of times is on a daily basis, like Leticia will say, oh, what do the new boards look like? Because, we just got some new graphics came in. We want to see what they look like, So, I mean, that constantly is so much fun. If we can afford to do an ad, it's like laying out the ad, or, the graphics, and when the graphics come in, and that kind of stuff is like, that feeds us.
Yeah, 100%. It's very exciting. It's cool to be part of the creation process, and then to have people appreciate it and even purchase it or spread it or share it. It's the best feeling.
Sending us, photos or with them with the board and just being like, so rad, so stoked. It's like,
yeah, it's flattering.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, like, being so paranoid, like just to the very end, like being like, okay, no, we need to approve the art before it goes to production, because I want to make sure the colors and everything are right, because, it's like, it's important to us, it's important, it's not just.
And a lot of times we'd have kind of some adult graphics, and we'd catch some heat from shops, and my whole thing was, I always hated this stereotype of it's like, oh, little kids skateboard, and I'm like, little kids don't all skate. It's not all little kids.
And little kids like that kind of stuff.
Well, they do, but the parents are trying to keep it away from it. It's like, but why does skateboards always associate with little kids, and why do these graphics have to cater towards little kids? It's like.
And so when we respect it, like it's like some shops want to keep that, that just more clean cut and just more, mom friendly and stuff. So so we'll throw in just I don't want to say generic, but just not so, in your face type graphics.
Yeah, if you can do it all, why not? It's like fun to like.
Not every graphic has to be gnarly, I mean, we can get into.
We want to make sure we're stoked on it.
Mm-hmm, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Is just being stoked on it, because he and I will go to battle a lot. And we disagree and this and that, and we'll go back and forth, but at the end of the day, when something is getting done and we're putting it into production or we're doing an ad, it's like we're both solid with it. We're like, okay, we're both on the same page and we're standing behind it, like both of us. So it works out.
Do you have jobs now? Do you have like a side project, or is Consolidated your full-time gig?
I have a side job. I haven't taken any money from Consolidated for I don't know, a number of years. And so for me, it's not a hobby, but it's like, it just fuels my passion, you know. So I work part-time to pay the bills, and then I work the other half of the time at Consolidated.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that. I do the same as well. I work a job and then I run a brand. I do a lot of skateboard stuff. I do an event. I do the podcast, the YouTube channel. I even manage another skateboard brand. But I still work screen printing in an embroidery place to make money for, even though I probably don't have to, but it's kind of a choice. Just being like a recession type baby. It's like the ideal situation would be if you could spend your time doing stuff you love all the time, and like you own your own time. But that's something that doesn't always happen right away, you know?
Yeah, so I'm the only like full-time employee.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm here the whole time, you know. We're both slave labor, but you know, like but we like it. It's our choice, you know. It's like, it's not sympathy. It's just, that's what we want, you know, and so that's just the way it is. And we have so many people that help us, you know, with, you know, laying out ads and doing art, and you know, we don't have any in-house anyone, you know, besides myself, and so I'm not even close to being an artist or anything like that. And like, so we have so many artists all around the world that give us art, and we're super, super appreciative of it, and people helping us with web stuff, and just other things that you know, team stuff. Roberto and this other guy, David Sanchez, he's a new AM. We just came out with a video, Never Say Never, and they took the helm.
They did the whole thing.
From, you know, they had their own parts, and then they came out here, and you know, from start to finish, they did the editing, they filmed the writers that didn't have enough footage, they pieced it all together, they gave it the Consolidated vibe. They hands down, like, they did it.
Yeah. You know? It's like a collaboration.
Oh yeah, like I always say, like, Consolidated is just greater than the sum of its parts. You know, it's just like, there's just so many people to thank, and so many, you know, that is kind of its own entity, you know. And
yeah, that's why I'm prying, because I feel like there's like a lottery mentality or something when you're younger, or maybe not even age is fair to, because there's older people like that too that think it's gonna just happen, like they have a dream and it's gonna be handed to them, or it's gonna work out somehow without any plan or any vision or work ethic. Or some people don't even try to get better, you know, like in general in their life. But
it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. It is for sure.
But I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I guess where I'm trying to go with this is like, you guys have a certain direction with Consolidated, you know. It's almost anti-marketing, I guess. I don't know how else to say it, you know. It's that's a choice. I'm just wondering where that choice comes from, and like, do you ever feel like if you just put, say, weed prints all over something and tried to sell it, like you know what I mean? Because if not that you'd ever want to, but I know the temptation's probably there to do some compromising shit, and so how do you balance it all out in your head, you know?
You know, I think we don't compromise too much, and we kind of have we have kind of a hard line of keep skateboarding in the hands of skateboarders for us, and so it holds us back, but it's what we believe in, so we're cool with it, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you sell the mall chains or sporting goods stores? And we're like, you know, we feel like they're killing the real core shops.
Well, it's for us, I guess, too. It's like, it just sounds to us kind of hypocritical, you know, like, here you are, you know, saying keep skateboarding in the hands of skateboarders, but then you're handing it over to this corporate entity that has nothing to do with skateboarding, and it's like, how can you say that with a straight face, you know? So it's like, we're not perfect by any means. Like, we'll be the first to say it, you know. We've made mistakes, and we continue to make mistakes, but you know, we just try to do the best we can, you know, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, you know. It's
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I guess the mistakes come from the growing process, so that's a good thing, because that means you guys are trying and you're adjusting and you're going forward, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good. That means you're on the right path. Is you get through all the mistakes and you tighten it up and get the thing running how you want it to run, and then the sky's the limit, I guess. It's weird. It's weird nowadays for sure, because skateboarding's so sunk into the culture that everyone thinks that. I think they think everybody is making tons of money off of skateboarding, but I don't, and especially with these big shows and like just the amount of influence skateboarders have too makes it seem that way, you know. And I always tell people it's not the industry side of things. Skateboarding is not even comparable to so many other sports or other lifestyle things or music, or it's peanuts, you know. So the people involved that are like really doing it, that you can tell love it, that are throwing the events and, you know, creating the content, and like, you know, those people are doing it out of more of a labor of love, right?
Yeah.
They're
sure.
passionate about it, and,
For sure.
and we feel like that's who should be in charge. That's who should own it, and I think it should be that way in a lot of other things too. You know, I think football players should be the ones that own the NFL, and you know, you don't think of any soccer, football, baseball, basketball player owned companies, and why not? You know, and it's like they're totally controlled. And skateboarding, I think, is unique because it came about when nobody cared about it. You know, the outsiders didn't care about it. It was illegal. There weren't public parks everywhere, so all this corporate interest wasn't there. You know, but then once it got to a certain size, all of a sudden these outsiders want it, and to us, especially to me, I was like, fuck that. You know, like you create this thing. I feel like, you know, it's like anything. You know, you can have some organic farm and you get the thing awesome and everybody wants organic food, and then, oh, here comes, you know, Monsanto over the hill and they want to take over the whole thing, and they have enough money and they do it, you know, and it happens. It happens like to everything. You know, Odwalla was in a town up close to us, and all of a sudden they get popular and people want these healthy drinks and fucking Coke bottle. You know, and so when it starts happening to skateboarding, that's why we fight so hard. Or, you know, I feel like, no, you know, they're not passionate about skateboarding. They're just passionate about the amount of money that they think it can produce, and they want it. So, you know, that's why we fight.
Yeah, I like that. It's funny because people, when you say something like that, people are so extreme, either one way or the other, that it's like, oh, they don't want to make money, they don't want to be successful, blah blah blah, you know. But that's not what you're saying. I don't feel that's just saying like almost safeguard skateboarding. That's how I look at it. Like,
saying, let it grow, let it keep growing, let the mainstream get to it. Just make sure the mainstream goes to a skate shop.
Yeah.
And give money to a skateboarder.
Yeah, they're buying from a skater-owned company. Like, it can get as big as it wants to get.
There can be tons of posers. It's all good, you know. Like, but they just got to give their money to a skateboarder. That's just our argument.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because I've seen when there's no skateboarders at the head of a ship, and it becomes about a numbers game. So the decisions are made from that angle. You know, it's not about. Because sometimes the right move for something is not always the most profitable. You just have to do it. And profit comes and goes, especially if you're in it for a long term. If you're just in it for a quarter, trying to make as much money in a quarter or whatever, half a year or whatever, you know, then the compromises come in. And there's always a fucking compromise. And we all see it. Everybody who skateboards sees it. You're like, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, a skater wouldn't do that, you know? Like, but you know they're selling an image or whatever it is. When it's just numbers, right? Ridiculous.
I mean, Consolidated ourselves, like we're good. Like, you know, if it goes in the way that, you know, we're fighting against, well, so be it. You know, at least we fought for what we believed in, and we could walk away with, you know, our integrity. You know.
Yeah, we had a heart to heart. You know, 10 years ago when we refired up the "Don't Do It" campaign, we said, you know, this Nike is influxing so much money, and they were so big at the time that we're like, you know, this could be it for us, but we had to dig deep and be like, we're cool with that, because if it gets gobbled up and it's just owned by all these outsiders, then we're gonna just have to get a job working for them. And why? We'd rather just be out of business and go get a job doing something else.
Yeah, something more profitable. If you can't make skateboarding a job, it's like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? You know, you're gonna be like, go get a job and try to get something that you could live above the poverty line.
Yeah, totally.
And I believe, like Nike has actually an awesome, rad backstory about him. With like Bill Bowerman, the Phil Knight's coach or whatever, taking shoes apart and trying to make better shoes, and then they're selling them out of the back of a van or whatever. And it's like, it's super rad. They have a passionate story, but it's on the track, and it's not in skateboarding, and there's a lot of people that have that passionate story in skateboarding, and let them grow, let them flourish.
And then this isn't a fight of Consolidated versus Nike in the least bit. Like, we're not saying buy Consolidated instead of buy Nike. I mean, yeah, we have a couple shoes here and there that we come out, but it's more, it's like, pick a skater-owned brand over Nike. It doesn't have anything to do with Consolidated, but just do your research and see who you support, and give your dollars to them.
Yeah.
Because they need it.
Agreed. The weird part is the gray line, or where things get murky, is that those brands hire skateboarders, and then those skateboarders justify it because they're getting a paycheck, and then they're the influencer, but there's still a degree of separation between because that person could lose their job, and Nike could pull out, or whatever brand, no disrespect, but whatever brand is investing, they could pull out and then take all those titles away and all the stuff, that person's livelihood, And they most likely will if it's just about numbers, right? I mean, they're not like they really have put all those hours into the tricks and just fell in love with the culture and the people in that simple act of skateboarding, That's not where those decisions are being made for them.
They've proven that is because they've pulled out before.
Yeah, that's an easier answer. Thank you. They already did it.
Times does it need to be proven, so...
Yeah, I remember the first Converse attempt at infiltrating skateboarding. They had like the stickers with like the characters of the skater, and like they were trying to do it then too. Aren't they owned by Nike too, I believe?
And Nike bought them.
Yeah, power.
So, and then they were in surfing, snowboarding as well. They pulled out of snowboarding. They also pulled out of surfing, but then they bought Hurley, so they're kind of hiding behind Hurley now, which I hear they're trying to pawn Hurley off right now because I guess the numbers again.
Yeah. Well, they're so big they can move wherever they want. They can buy a lane in any culture, anything they want, because they're massive, I imagine.
Right.
Well, in skateboarding too, and kind of a background the time when you started, it was interesting. There was always kind of this, not a rule or anything, but just this unsaid, we'll call it a rule, but where these outsiders would try to come in, they'd huck a bunch of money around, but skaters wouldn't buy their shit because they knew, and then they'd bail, and the skaters would like laugh, so, and it happened all the time. Some outsider would buy up a company, and people go, oh, that's not, skateboarders don't own that anymore, and then nobody would support it, and it would die off. And it was so awesome because it was like skateboarding and skateboarders had other skateboarders' backs. And then, it wasn't really until I feel like 10 years ago where it just they dumped so much money and they just got so many top people that it cracked.
Yeah, that sounds depressing.
It is. That doesn't sound like it is.
I wanted to ask you guys about social media. How do you guys feel about the internet and social media and in general, and then also how do you feel about it pertaining to the skateboard industry?
I think it's amazing. It's awesome because when we refired up the Don't Do It campaign 10 years ago, Nike had infiltrated the mags and everyone. And so, we had a magazine that was our friends had it, and we wanted to run a Don't Do It ad, and the editor called me up and he said, yeah.
No, we had been running Don't Do It ads, like we didn't.
Yeah, we were running, but this one month we had an ad like sent to them, and the editor called up and said, hey, I don't know if you talked to blah blah blah, but Nike wants to advertise in our magazine, and they want to do a 2-page spread, and they're going to pay us, more.
Like $3,000 or something.
Yeah, they're going to pay us more than normal or whatever, but their only stipulation is it can't have a Consolidated Don't Do It ad in the mag.
And so they asked us a favor. They're like, could you please not do a Don't Do It ad this month, and
yeah,
and so they were our friends, and so we were just stuck, and we're like, so we bowed out so they could get the money, from Nike, and there's been a lot of behind the scenes kind of stifling, trying to get at us from different angles, and
even then too, I remember looking through some of the other major mags, and for fun, I'd grab an issue from like a year before, and I'd look through and I'd try to see like how many pairs of Nikes are in there, and there's like almost nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, I swear to God, it was like 50% of the mag. I was like, oh my God, like it's like on every page, and I know they were flying the people at the mag and first class and putting them up in 4-star hotels and doing these crazy trips to do editorials and whatever, and I'm sure the mags were loving it, but there was no way we were going to get our message out. I have a friend who's a surf photographer, and the time when Nike was in surfing, he was shooting photos, and
he was like a high profile photographer.
Yeah.
He wasn't just like a contributor or.
And a lot of the guys he was shooting would put "Don't Do It" stickers because he was backing it, so they put "Don't Do It" stickers on their boards. And so he's like, "Fuck! I sent the sickest photos to these mags. Why aren't they running them?" And so he called them, and he's like, "Dude, why aren't you running these?" And they said, "You know what? Nike said if they see Don't Do It in the mag, they're going to pull their advertising. So you can't send us any photos with that on there, And so anyways, back to social media. At the time, MySpace was around, and it was the most amazing tool to get the word out when every other avenue was totally blocked. I mean, how do you get the word out without mags, right?
Yeah.
So, but
you almost got bought out of they were pushing you out with the dollars. Tough.
We had my cousin. She lives down in San Luis, and she went into a skate shop, and she didn't see any Consolidated, and she's like, "How come you don't have any Consolidated?" And they're like, Consolidated, they're a cool company and everything, but Nike told us if we wanted the Nike account, they couldn't carry Consolidated, and my cousin called me freaking out, like, but I had already heard about it, and stuff, and so she's like, they can't do that. I was like, yeah, they're doing it, and so like behind the scenes, they put on this face of like, oh, haha, don't do it, they're funny, oh, how cute, but behind the scenes, we have no idea like how many things, they're doing, and whatever, we just keep doing our thing, and
to me, social media is a godsend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's hard to monitor and have people control that if you're posting stuff.
Yeah, I just like it because it's just free for all, and anybody can do anything.
Yeah, and it levels the playing field.
Yeah.
I like it too. I'm with you. It's cool because everyone's kind of their own brand now, So the message that you guys are putting out is more empowered this way with these platforms. Because everybody is their own identity. They're not, although it's weird nowadays because a lot of people are just trying to get sponsors in life now just through doing weird shit online. It's crazy. Right. It's very crazy. Crazy times, no?
It is. But for the most part, we think it's good, and whatever, it's freedom of speech to the, upteenth level, and, anything goes.
Yeah, that's the reason why I started this podcast, actually, was because I feel like something that corporations, they can buy up, they can work with us as individuals and as people, we could collaborate together, but they can't solely own skateboarding because they can't tell these stories and can't have, like, this podcast remains uncensored for a reason. Like, I like to push the boundaries if possible at times, just to see, you know, because it's like, this is authenticity. Like, people that have stockholders and share, all these people with big money, they can't say or do this shit, you know what I mean? So that shows at least some level of authenticity, you know? But it's weird, even that's becoming trendy, though. People, like, I get really nervous nowadays, because I see, like, we could go into Andy Roy for an example. He's like, I feel like people might emulate the way that guy is, and I don't know if that's the best way to lead tons of people to, you know, or if he'd even be able to want that or handle that, right?
Yeah, we got a little screwed on that edit.
well, let me, for the people listening, I'm sure people have all seen it, but like, it seemed like he just said something to someone wearing a Consolidated hat, and that person actually backed you guys and like actually was like told you guys, and then went from there. But regardless, like, I was thinking about Andy Roy a lot, because I like that, you know, like, that kind of goes back to what I'm saying, is there's some sort of authenticity in that, like, anti-hero, that opposite, that almost like homeless, like, that dude's not bought and sold, there's something in there. But I don't know if I'd necessarily want kids to, like, emulate that dude and follow that dude, or even, like, that dude might be the type of dude that would talk shit and tear someone else's brand down, but then, like, not do shit when that person comes to their face, you know, or, like, it's kind of like, I don't know, like, I'm not saying I'm against the guy, but I'm like,
Had
and
a
then,
personal experience with him, like, this 5 years ago, where Roberto, he comes back and forth between Spain and here, and he has a room that he rents in San Francisco, and he comes here. And one night he had a party, and so he just invited a bunch of people, and Andy Roy ended up showing up, you know, and I welcomed him into the house. You know, Roberto's giving him, he made paella, and we had all these appetizers, and he's getting him all his food. I went into the fridge, I handed him a beer, I said, whenever you want more, just grab it. You know, I thought everything was cool and normal, you know, and then, you know, later on in the night, I guess he just started, you know, just talking smack on Consolidated and being like, fuck Consolidated, fuck Birdo, you know, the Consolidated's going down, you know, and all this stuff. And it's like, hey, it's all good, you know, if that's how you feel, you know, but it just, to me, I was like, how do you come into a Consolidated writer's house, eat a Consolidator's food, drink their beer, and then talk bad about them in his house, you know? So in my head, I was like, the next time I see him, I have a run-in with him, I'm going to tell him that I had a problem with that, you know? And, well, the next time that I saw him just happened to be in front of a camera.
nice.
You know, and so it was, you know, interesting. And, you know, we just went to town. And it's kind of funny because I think I was the one that ended up saying the most. And, you know, I didn't make it in there for whatever reason. But then I started going, wait, you know, I'm calling like sexism or racism or something. I'm like, wait a minute.
You got edited out because you're a lady.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I'm the one that, you know, ran off the mouth the most, you know.
I got a question. So, the critique was with Jesse Paez, right? Is that how you say his last name? I remember Jesse, when I was coming up, he wore high socks and skated really fast and powerful, correct?
Yeah.
And he rode for Consolidated, right?
Yeah.
And the complaint with Andy is that you guys kicked him off, right? But I read somewhere that, or I heard somewhere that it was your other friend that kicked him off. There was another, is it Steve or Keith? Sorry.
He was my partner at the time, and he was the one that did the books.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the time, I guess Jesse wasn't skating, and we were paying him a big salary, and Keenan at the time was like, you know, we can't afford this dude, and I think they might have even had kind of some little bit of personal clashes or whatever, and so yeah, so we had to kick him off, and I remember it was totally lame. And I didn't want it to go down, but you know, I had to be there by Keenan's side and, you know, have his back on it or whatever. But what's so lame and what's such bullshit about that being Andy's reason for it was, you know, Jesse, when he rode for Think, we patched things up. He ended up coming back and writing for Consolidated again after. So, you know, that's why I was so caught off guard. I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Like, what Jesse Paez, how's there some beef? Everything's fucking cool with Jesse, you know. How is this the beef, you know? Yeah. And when I realized, like, when we first rolled up in there, he's going, I ride for Jason Jesse, I ride for Jason Jesse, you know? And the real beef, and, like, the beef when he was in San Francisco and talking shit, you know, at Roberto's, was because of Jason Jesse. He rode for the Driven after, because Jason leaving Consolidated was on, like, bad terms. So I think that's where it stemmed from, was Jason being hell bent on tearing down Consolidated, which, you know, that's the gnarliest thing. So Jason, I'll just give you a little bit of back history. So Jason was riding for Santa Cruz. He came and rode for Consolidated at the beginning. He was a vert skater. At that time, his boards weren't selling so good at Santa Cruz. And but he was our friend, you know, and so he came with, and at that time it was like Tom Knox and Nodis, and that's who was like selling boards. It was like street skating, and so he came over, and then after a few years, we're like, dude, you know, your boards aren't selling, and so we ended up like breaking it off with Jason.
You did a retirement board,
yeah,
right?
We did a retirement board. It was totally amicable. Everything was cool. And he went and got a job washing dishes at this restaurant. And I didn't know then, but I think that was probably the first job he'd ever had, you know. And I'd go visit him over there, you know, because we were friends. And I'd go visit him over there washing dishes, and he'd be talking to me out front and be like, fuck, this job sucks. And his boss would come out and be like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't pay you to talk out here. And so I remember coming back and talking to Keenan and saying, dude, there's got to be something that we can have Jason do here. Like, can we hire him to do something, you know? And so we figured, well, let's ask him if he's willing to do sales, because how sick would that be? You know, he can call shops and be like, this is Jason, and they'll be stoked, you know, to talk to him.
How could you not be?
Yeah, exactly. So he came back and did sales, and, you know, it was like not the easiest thing probably for him, but he just had to be Jason on the phone, and, you know, he never really pushed product on people or whatever, but
better than washing dishes.
Yeah, exactly. So
being in skateboarding, right?
You learn a lot of lessons washing dishes. You wash thousands of them. You learn a lot of lessons, and the one lesson is I don't want to wash dishes anymore. You know what I mean?
No doubt. So anyways, so he did sales for a long time, and then Keenan left the business, and Leticia got involved, and I had decided, you know what, I think I want to make Jason the team manager, and we'll get somebody else in here to do sales, and I'm like, it'll be sick, you know, having him be the team manager, and you know, he gets along with all the riders and everything.
He knows all the mags.
Yeah, he knows the people at the mags, and it was perfect. So he was the team manager, and everything was cool. Everything was cool for a long time, and then Jason Geist started getting kind of into drugs, and he wasn't coming to work. And
if you don't mind me asking, what kind of drugs? Because I do drugs. I like sugar. I like alcohol. I like weed. Caffeine is good. What kind of drugs are we talking?
Crystal meth.
Yeah, those are hard ones. My mother had, for most of her life, for the whole time I was born, had a real bad issue with drug abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I know the character.
On our side, like going, it was rough, like trying to work around that, you know?
Yeah, it's not a very, dysfunction is not fun to be in and around, especially if you're trying to keep your shit together and another person's not. It becomes like you're carrying someone and they're not carrying their own weight, or there's extra drama, or like it just becomes too much. It ruins the day.
So what ended up happening was Leticia was taking the brunt of it. You know, the riders would call, is Jason there? No, he's not here. So then Leticia started taking on his work, and I had to take on some of his work, but we're paying the dude a salary, you know? So I finally had to confront him on it. And I was like, dude, you know, there's all this shit that is not getting done. And I at the time, I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you got to get some kid to do it, trade product or whatever, but I can't afford to pay somebody else another salary. You're taking the salary to do this job, and it ain't getting done. And I need help, dude. You know?
It's bigger than yourself, for sure.
Yeah, and so I remember he's like, oh, but I'm building a motorcycle for, you know, whoever, Scott Bourne, and I'm building a motorcycle for Jamie Lynn or whatever. And I said, you know what, that's fucking sick. I think it's really cool, but this shit needs to get done. And he looked at me and said, what are you gonna do? Fire me? And he says, if you fire me, Alan will quit, Karma will quit, you know, go down the list, like, everybody's gonna quit. And I was just like,
fuck me, right?
So I just had to say, you know what, dude? You do whatever the fuck you gotta do. Because I ain't gonna live in a cage, right? Because now all of a sudden, you know, who can live like that? Like, oh, I can't, I gotta tiptoe around this guy and I gotta just keep paying him and he's gonna do whatever the fuck he wants because he's holding me hostage, you know?
Yeah, because he has a big ego about who he is. Apparently. I don't know him, but from the story.
Well, it was the ego, and you know, and the drugs didn't help it, you know, and you know, I mean, I'd go in his office like crying, being like, Jason, what can we do? And he'd just be like, I got this. He would, you know, cut me off, you know, and so I'd be like, I just walk out of there and be like, okay, you know what, there's nothing we can do, you know, and just kept hoping that he would snap out of it, you know, and realize, you know, drugs were a bad thing and at the level that he was at, you know, and it just didn't, while he was at Consolidated, he never stopped from that point on. And
so he got this, like, you know, whatever, blank stare, and I was like, dude, you know, that's just how it's got to be.
He started trying to pit the writers, you know, against us and create this division. Like, you know, every few months I would just do inventory, you know, just to make sure we were on track, you know, whatever. And every time, you know, we'd come up short, you know, we'd be short on boards and this and that. And I the last thing on my mind was that someone was stealing, you know. It's like we were this tight-knit crew, and the last thing on my mind was that. But so I started telling Jason, well, you know, maybe make sure that when the writers come that they write everything down, because maybe not everything's getting written down, so then I can go in on the computer and take everything out.
And and sorry to cut you off, but that's like a good part of getting better at business is having inventory and knowing where everything's going, so you know where you're investing and where the money's being spent, and you can move the money if you need.
Yeah, so like, so I just was like, you know, maybe just make sure that, you know, stuff gets written down, like, and I didn't think twice about it. And then all of a sudden one day Karma, you know, came to Consolidated, and he came down like just like furious, you know, and he's like, what? He's like, you think we're stealing? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, Jason says that the reason that you're having us write stuff down is because you think that we're stealing. And I was like, no. I said, no. And then I told him the whole situation. I said, I'm just trying to figure out, you know, why we're coming up short. Maybe inventory's not getting taken out when you guys come. I'm like, that's all it is. And then he just looked at me. He's like, oh. He's like, is that it? He's like, oh, okay, cool. Give me the order form. You know, like, it was just black and white. But what we didn't know was that it was Jason that was stealing. And he was kind of trying to create this division so the writers would kind of blame us and make us seem like the bad people.
You have to cover up a lie.
So yeah, so you know, and a lot of it, like, we didn't know at the time what was going on, you know, and you know, there was fallouts with, you know, Scott Bourne, you know, he put stuff in his head, you know, and Scott, you know, ended up quitting, and you know, we tried, you know, Karma organized a meeting to try and save it, you know, and supposedly Jason was also quitting, and they were going to leave together, and so Karma called a meeting, and we all of us showed up, and including Scott, and Jason was there, and it was kind of funny because we were all in this one room, but I think Jason was like stuck because he was telling us one thing, and he was telling Scott another thing, so he couldn't be in that meeting.
Yeah, Scott's saying all this shit, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And so he's going, Jason, get in
he's
here.
He's like, you chicken shit, get over here.
That's the shit you told me, but
Jason's around the corner, like, with his video camera, but he couldn't really film because, you know, he's hiding, but he has, you know, he has the audio, you know, the whole thing that went down, you know, and stuff. And so, you know, long story short, Scott ends up taking off. Like, he's like, screw you guys, you know, like, we're the bad people, you know. And so he took off. And then we asked Jason, you know, we're like, so where are you at? You know, are you out of here too, or are you going to stay? You know, and he's like, I want to stay. And we're like, okay, rad, you know. And then you guys ended up going upstairs and talking for a long time. And, you know, then all of a sudden at that point, like, we thought we were starting a new page, and all of a sudden, you know, we start talking partnerships and how we're going to do it, and salary, and, you know, if he wants to work part-time, full-time, no time, you know, and his salary would reflect that. And he was super into it, you know, and we thought, and then that went on for like maybe a few more weeks, and then all of a sudden it was Christmas time, and I needed some presents, so I came to Consolidated. It was Christmas Eve, and I walked in to just like, I mean, just havoc, you know, like this carpet was just hideous, but it was like torn out, and the refrigerator was being torn out, and it was because Jason had brought that to Consolidated, so he was taking all his stuff that was his, you know. And so I called Steve, and from Consolidated, and I was like, Steve, I think we've got an issue on our hands. And he's like, and this is how clueless we were. Like, he's like, no, Leticia, Jason's just, you know, he's starting fresh. You know, he's probably going out and getting a new carpet, so he had to tear the old one out, and, you know, he's just getting a new one. And I was like, I don't think that's what's happening.
Dude's flipping out right now.
If you're seeing what I'm seeing, I don't think you'd be saying that.
Yeah, I was oblivious.
And you're having, at least you had faith.
So then I called Jason right after that, you know, and he's like, I'll be down there in just a second, you know. And it's so crazy because this happened 17 years ago. Like, I remember it's Christmas 2000, and I just remember like yesterday. It's so crazy. And so I waited for him, and he just said, Consolidated's done. And I said, I'm sorry you feel that way. See you later, you know. And then I called Steve, and I told him what happened or whatever, and he was like, just let him do what he's got to do. And I was like, are you crazy? Like, I'm not leaving here, you know. He's like, just let him do it, you know. And I left, you know, and then he just wrote just gibberish all over the walls, just nonsense, you know. And
yeah, stole tons of shit.
And so then you know, whatever. So we're like, okay, it's done.
And he's hell bent now on tearing Consolidated down. Like, without him there, Consolidated's over.
So we thought, but at the time we stayed. You know, we were like, you know, he's going through a rough one. You know, like, okay, you know, like, so we didn't air the dirty laundry. The only thing was, what he did after he left is, like, he started calling shops. They wrote letters. Like, he had the sales rep help him, wrote letters, and called our suppliers and said, Consolidated's done. There's only businessmen left there. Don't support them anymore. And he just started, like, all this stuff. And so then, you know, I went to work, you know, after Christmas, and to this barrage of calls, and they're going, what's going on up there, you know? And luckily, by that point, you know, Jason had kind of drifted away, so he didn't really have these tight-knit relationships with everyone anymore, right? Yeah. So luckily, they gave us a chance, you know, to prove that, you know, it was just a fallout, you know. And so, you know, business went on as usual, you know, and he tried hard to, you know, to destroy Consolidated. Like, he tried really hard. And,
yeah, to be calling and writing letters. To be calling and writing letters and, like, being that petty about something, you definitely have to be very spiteful and vengeful.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like, I mean, I don't know where that came from, because like I honestly, through it all, like I don't know how many times I've hashed through it in my head, like we honestly, I'm not saying we're perfect or we did anything perfect, everything perfect, but at the bottom of my heart, like I know that we tried everything that we could to make it right and to help him, and we couldn't. He, in his head, we were these horrible people. He was paranoid. I don't know if it was because of lack of sleep or the drug. I don't know what it was, but he created this scenario in his head that we were just these horrible people, and
we were somehow fucking him over.
Yeah.
I've been there. I'll tell you. We've all been there. It's like when you're, you can be completely lost and caught in your emotions and talking to yourself, and you can talk yourself into some narrative that someone's fucking you over and, shit's always happening to you. That's like a victim mentality a lot of drug addicts have. My mom had it. You're never in control. Someone else is your oppressor. That type of thing. And
we're pretty young too, and so just not having had experience with anything like this before, we're like, whatever. So anyway, so he left, right? And then, so we're like, okay, that's done. Let's pick up the pieces. I called the writers. They didn't know anything that had happened. I had to fill them in on everything. And then, me, I'm just like the emotional one, but, I was just crying for, weeks, because it was like, yes, there was damage control, that I had to do, calling the shops, explaining to them what happened, all that and everything. But like on a personal level, like I lived with Jason and his wife for like a year, and I got to know Jason, and I felt like we had this really rad friendship, like this mutual respect. I loved his quirkiness and his humor, and we would always have fun. So besides the business part of it, the part that hurt the most was like I felt betrayed, like how could you do this to us, and I remember though, one time I was crying on the phone to Alan, and Alan finally, like he was just like in like kind of a pretty stern, probably the sternest voice I'd ever heard from him, and he's like, Leticia, there's no use in crying over spilt milk. And all of a sudden, like, and that's all he had to say, and I was like, you're right. And so then from that point on, I just like got stronger, and just kept going about it and thinking, okay, it's over. And then all of a sudden it starts like he's threatening our employees, he's going to their apartment buildings, and he's like going, calling up their phone number, and he's yelling like things in gibberish inside the speaker phone and saying things. And Roberto was staying here at one point with a couple other writers, and all of a sudden they see like a piece of paper slip underneath the door, and it says, you might want to get out of here because I'm going to burn the place down tonight.
Jesus.
And so then and Roberto was like, and the other writers were like, we're going down with the ship, we're not going anywhere, and so they stayed. And we didn't know about it until the next morning. Yeah, I'd have been all, get the fuck out of there. And
I would have been sleeping at Jack in the Box down the road or whatever.
And then we had this other guy, Billy, who, he was our shipper. He also did sales and stuff. And
rode for us.
And he rode for us, and he started getting threatened by Jason. Jason told him, I'm coming to pick you up. He was from Indiana. He's from Indiana. He's like, I'm coming to pick you up on this day at this time. I'm going to go take you to the bus station, and you're moving back to Indiana, and then Billy called us, and he's like, this is what's going down. And we're like, well, do you want to move back to Indiana? And he's like, no. And we're like, okay, we got you, and Jason's like, Jason was going to be here at Consolidated at 9. Well, we got here at 8.
Was he just want to kidnap him?
He was going to pick him up, drop him off at the bus station, make sure he got on the bus to Indiana. Yeah. And so we're like, okay, we got you. So we got here at 8, waited, till 9. And sure enough, Jason pulls up, and I don't know if you ever saw our 411, but in it says, when you're naked in the street, all you got is your word.
I did see that.
And, Billy went down to his boxers. He said he was going to go all the way nude, but, like, these couple girls walked by. And so he's like, okay, they're not going to know what's going on, so I'm going to just hold on to my boxers. And so he's in his boxers waiting for Jason out in the middle of the street. And Jason pulls up, and Jason's like, get in. And Billy's like, no. And he's like, get in. And so they went back and forth for a while. Steve and I are inside, because we're like, let's see how it pans out, first or whatever. And then, and finally, it was just like kind of stalemate. And so I walked out. And then Jason saw me, and I think he said something to Billy, like, you're dead, and he's put it in reverse or whatever. And I'm like chasing him going, Jason, let's talk about this. Let's just be done. Let's figure this out, and then he just took off. And so, just having to deal with like that for a long time, and, it sucked.
Yeah. I have a question. Have either of you had issues with drugs? Because it seems like a lot of the dudes that you were around had drug issues, and a lot of the times, it's like sometimes similarities. That's why people hang out with each other. So did either of you have issues with drugs?
He quit drinking at 22 because he was an alcoholic. So at 22, before he even started Consolidated, he quit cold turkey. I just drink. I've never even done coke or anything. Like, it doesn't interest me.
It scares me. I've never done it either. It scares me. I tried mushrooms once.
and maybe that's why too we didn't know how to deal with it, because we had never, been on the other side. Like of how to. I mean, I thought we were trying to be compassionate, but maybe we weren't being compassionate in the right way, or I don't know.
Well, the thing with that, sometimes like, when people are lost, they're lost, and it's their own battle, and they have to find their own way back. Like, you can't help them. Actually, by helping them, you're hurting them.
Right.
Like, I've dealt with that a lot. So, but like, since I dealt with that at a young age, I'm kind of wary of it now. I'm like, oh, can't really keep this person too close to me for too long. Like, you have to almost see bad characteristics, and you don't want to get burned too many times. But I guess if you didn't have, I'm used to that because I had it since I was little. But
we had a lot, but you know what? I think our writers were just crazy. Like I don't think they didn't have really crazy. They drank for sure.
Well, let me be fair. These same people that had these drug issues, they also shined very brightly. Jason, Jesse, Andy, Roy, Alan. Who are we talking about? All of them, all the writers that you've dealt with. That fucking those guys are like. It's like flip of the coin, They could be as great as you could imagine, or the worst. Right. It seems like.
Right. Yeah, with Arma, yeah, but it was, they never got into like the meth thing, and like besides Andy and Jason.
Oh, did Scott abuse drugs as well? No, I don't mean to blow it up, but I feel like he had an issue with drugs as well.
Scott was sober for a while, I think, but then he started drinking. He never did meth.
He never did drugs? Was he an alcoholic? What was the Black Arms about? I don't remember exactly.
That was like I think it's like something to do like in a world in a world that's just all black. He has his white heart, like he's pure, like in a black.
Oh, that's sick. He never did any drugs?
He started drinking, but I don't know why I want to say this, but I feel like he didn't drink at first. And then he's later on in life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes it's funny because there's extremes in everything, There's like people that go full on.
Oh, I'm not totally, but I don't know why I think that he didn't.
I don't think he did drugs.
I know he didn't do drugs, but but as far as drinking, like I think for some reason he didn't drink for a while.
Yeah. It's funny, people that do heavy drugs, I always am aware of, but then also people that are completely sober. It's like two extremes. I catch on to them people too. I'm like, you're too sober.
Right.
I've been both.
Yeah. So no, but it was and so now fast forward to now, it's like we kept thinking, okay, once he cleans up, it's just this whole drama is going to be done and we're going to move on and everything, but with this whole Andy Roy thing, that episode, he started texting me and like Jason did, and just saying all this gibberish, and like and then like when I wasn't really acknowledging him, then he went to social media and he started posting things. But you guys don't skateboard, and then like Birdo's a pussy, and and so then I started fighting back, and then he disappeared, So I was just like, you're sober. You're on top of your game. You've got all these sponsors. You're doing well. He himself told me he now owns homes, and like, and I'm thinking, why are you still like obsessed with us? Like it's time to move on, like, and I also though don't want to take away from what Jason was when he was at Consolidated, because yes, he was a huge part of Consolidated. I will never refute that. Like, he was huge, but so were Alan and Karma and Bailey and Bert. I mean, it's like there's so many people that contributed to what Consolidated is now, like artists and all of our, the writers, and like it wasn't just one person that made this company, and so yes, he was a huge part, huge, but then he left and we had to move on, and we did,
Yeah, that's good. It's weird that he would still be into like defaming a brand even after all his success and being sober and stuff. Usually people find God and they forgive and move forward too. I don't know.
And then I heard like, now that he got off drugs and he's, trying to make amends with people and right his wrongs and stuff, and it's like, what about us? Like, what did we do?
He's gonna bring the carpet back, Leticia.
What?
He'll bring the carpet back and put it back in.
That's it. He'll be like, okay, here's the carpet.
There was a time too. We were in Huntington Beach, and he was down there, and we were down there doing some Don't Do It stuff at the U.S. Open, and he had said some shit to a couple of our friends down there, and they called and said, "Whoa, Jason Jesse just rolled up and said like Birdo sucks and whatever something," and they're like, I thought everything was cool, and so I ended up running into him down there, and it seemed like everything was cool. He's like, maybe you needed to come to this, and I've been talking with this mutual friend of ours that we have, and I've been thinking about coming by and talking to you guys, and maybe I can come by and we can go get something to eat or whatever. Yeah, have coffee and talk about stuff. I've been meaning to do it, and he looked me in the eye and shook my hand, and I was kind of like,
yeah, you were hesitant. You weren't believing him, and it was again me wanting to believe and being like, okay, Jason, are you serious? And he was like, yeah, I swear, like, I had to come to this, and there was a reason this happened, and I've driven by your warehouse. I want to come by, and at the end it was like, all right, come by, and we left there like going, we made up, like, yeah, it's cool. It's all squashed.
But then all of a sudden, weeks or months later, here comes more shit talking and more petty shit going on, and it's like, fuck.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
Fucking.
And one thing that I never thought of when it was in the midst of the whole thing, and after it had gone down, I went up to Thrasher and I sat down with Fausto, and and I was explaining to him, I'm like, dude, I don't get what happened, like, I'm like, I wasn't trying to teach the dude a work ethic. There was this shit that needed to get done, and I couldn't afford to hire somebody else to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And he looked at me and he said, that's where you went wrong. It's like, you got to teach these guys a work ethic. And for me, I was like, fuck, to me, he was my friend. I wasn't his boss. It was like, dude, I'm holding up this side of the couch, and we're trying to move the thing. I need you to pick up the other side and help me fucking move it, And I felt like it wasn't my place to try to teach somebody to do the work ethic. But what I didn't realize was that dishwashing job was probably the first job he ever had. When he was a kid and skating down south and riding for Santa Cruz, that dude was making so much fucking money and traveling the world. And so
Arrested Development, that's the word, right? They stunts their youth.
Yeah, so, it's a learning experience for me, and I have to accept some fault in it for not noticing, like, this dude, that's all he knew was, no, you just pay me for being me, and that's how it works. And, for me, getting kicked out of my house when I was a kid and being hungry, and, I got a dishwashing job, and to be honest, I was so fucking soaked on that job. I loved it. I couldn't wait to go to work because they'd feed me, It'd be like, here comes dinner time or whatever at work. They'd be like, what do you want? And I'd be like, I'll have a bacon burger with pineapple on it. And, and they'd make me the sickest meal. And I remember I loved that job, but it was because I was hungry, And so ever since then, I've had to work full time my whole life, So to not have that, I didn't understand it, and so I have to like cut some slack in the.
Yeah, lesson learned though, right?
Yeah.
Tough though, tough. It's weird because skateboard brands are so small. Like I started out on Fibro, and Steve R was like a father figure to me. Like I was this kid in the projects, and I was reckless and a little suicidal, and I just skated because it was what I knew what to do and all that. And that guy like took me in and like made me part of that family. And I wish I could have did more for Fibro and for them. Like I was just that kid who got sponsored. He took me to Japan. He like helped me out a lot. He taught me more. He did skateboarding. What he did was he gave more to me than I gave to them. I didn't understand like how it worked, but he's a small brand, just much like Consolidated, grassroots and just building it up, and it's the skaters doing it and everyone's figuring it out, and it becomes a family. Like you said earlier about felt like you're like breaking up. I've had those moments, like when I quit Fibro to ride for Birdhouse. I had like an opportunity, and I had to make a choice. Like, this guy's helped me out so much, they want to pay me and go skate with Tony Hawk, and I'm like, I went and skated with Tony Hawk. But in hindsight, I'm like, I don't know what the right move was. I got a lot of experience and all that from that. But, like, I never forgot, like, Fibro, Steve. I never tried to defame them, or there was never any hardship. I always was like that. They've done way more for me than I've done for Fibro or anything. Like, they gave to me a lot. But, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's like, it's crazy to have these characters, and they're so they have excellence. Those dudes are amazing, and you look at them skateboarding, Andy and all those guys, and I could see the allure, but then having to deal with their personal issues when you guys are all trying to work together and rise something up, like build something strong and that everyone believes in, and people have work ethic. Like a lot of part of my days now is trying to tell the kids around me, or the people that are not even kids, but just the people that are passionate about skateboarding, that like we have to build it into our lives, otherwise it'll get taken away. Like you have to find a way to monetize those hours so you can skateboard, or you can work on the art, or you can indulge in it. Like it's not, they'll just make you get a normal job otherwise, like, so like if you want to be a pro skateboarder, you have to fucking do it. You have to find a way to like buy back some of your time to like do what you love, hopefully moving forward it's like we can find a way to monetize our passions, because I feel like the people that love things would excel at them, if that was like their work, and maybe with all this digital economy and fingerprints and whatever we're building like together, maybe there'll be a way for people, the average person that loves skateboarding, to maybe like, that's what I was saying earlier about it being a brand almost, like everyone has their own media, you have your own brand, you're in control of anything. It's the Wild West. You can be the bad character or the good character or somewhere in the middle, and you can find other people like that, and you guys can play together and have storylines and like intersect. Yeah, I'm optimistic about the future. Are you guys, these are two different things, but are you, I'll start with one then. Are you religious at all?
Me personally, I consider myself Catholic. I was born and raised Catholic, and I don't practice, I don't go to church or everything, but I am really appreciative of, the stuff that I was, between my parents being really strict Mexican, people, and Catholicism. I really am fascinated by faith. Yeah. People that can have nothing, but they have faith, and they're like the happiest people in the world, and I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe in faith. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not religious either, but I take a lot from religion that I like. You know, I've learned a lot just from watching and paying attention and reading, and there's a lot of good things that come from there. There's a lot of opposite of that too, but
You know, you just try, take out the good. And I just, I go to countries and stuff that they have nothing. They're living literally in poverty. You know, barely have a roof over their heads, and they're offering, the clothes off their back to you. You know, and it's just like they're just so happy, and it's all because they believe in a God, or something that their life is fulfilled. And I just go, life can be so simple, and you can be so happy, and I love that.
yeah,
I really love that.
yeah, I love that too. Are you religious at all, Birdo?
I believe there's a God, or I feel like there's something more than just evolution. But I'm not big on organized religion. I think the God that everybody prays to is the same God, and people don't need to fight about it. And I lean more towards kind of like Eastern, like kind of Buddhism more, and I like that. But yeah, I think life is just I think about it a lot too. I think it's so complex. There's no way that it just evolved out of a puddle.
Yeah. It's crazy now. It's super complex. We're to the point now where we like can destroy the earth. That's when it's really life has hit complexity.
Yeah, we're living in crazy right now.
Yeah. I had some Jehovah Witnesses come to my door today, and they handed me some booklets and stuff. And the first one they handed me was like a pamphlet about what to happen like if the world's ending, basically, like doomsday preparation pamphlet. Like before.
Oh, in handy right now.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, you guys are starting to look more sane than you ever have. Like, what the?
Hey, you guys might have a point after all. Wait, you got a shoe?
Do I have a shoe?
Right?
Yeah, I have a shoe for World Industries. How crazy is that?
How's that?
It's good. So I was riding for World Industries pre-recession, and those guys, my buddy RP Best, speaking of religious, he's actually a Mormon, a proud Mormon, and one of the best dudes I know. And he basically found me. I was riding for Z York at the time, which is not skater owned. It's, it was Mark Echo. I saw 50 Cent outside the fucking Iconics building, or whoever it was owned, Mark Echo building at the time. And like, but I gotta do some crazy shit. They took me to China a bunch. I definitely gotta live my dream with like this big budgets and touring with all these legends, and so cool. And then but they weren't gonna turn me pro. And then my good friend RP Best and Charlie Thomas actually too. He was working at World Industries. They both were, and they found me, and they were like, I put out a video part for State of Mind, which was a Z York video, and they were just like, dude, we'd want to turn you pro. You want to come ride for World? We're trying to build something here. Like, they have investors, and they're gonna let us try to go at it. So I was like, I've always had to survive. So like, I've always like, since I was little, my family's been broken. My father passed when I was 13. He was shot. He was in a motorcycle gang, and he passed away from being shot like months later. And my mom's always been on drugs, so I was like in and out of trailer parks, projects, like typical kid who found a skateboard. And then like Solstice Skate Shop in New Bedford, Mass. They were so cool to me, and they would give me all their old shit, and I would just annoy the fuck out of them until like. But I had a good heart. Like, I didn't want to be around violence or anything sketchy because my house was like that. So I just wanted to ask him tons of questions and skate with him and be part of that world. It was a skate shop. So I was like, you guys are doing the coolest fucking thing ever. And they were like great role models to me, even though they weren't perfect, but they were just like people that try and loved what they were doing, and like we're trying to grow it together. And so yeah, and but then World Industries reached out to me, and they basically were like, and it was two dudes that had been in skating a long time and had history, and like people respected, and I did, and they were just like, yeah, we'll turn you pro. So got the boards. I had a couple shoes. I had like 2 shoes. I had a mid top and a low top, and then the recession hit, and there goes my pro title. There goes, which the title never meant anything to me, but like I still like the idea that like this brand, like, they don't want to invest in skateboarding anymore because business isn't good, that they're going to strip me of my being pro, you know? Like, that kind of irked me because I was like, the only reason why I consider myself pro is because I had done it so long and I had tried to give back to skateboarding as much as I could by, like, spreading the hype, the stoke, by getting people to, like, go on trips and, like, just, I always wanted to give my homies the free stuff I had. Like, I shared everything I had and with everyone, even my family. It became something I was very proud of, is, like, I've earned this position, you know? It wasn't given to me because I wasn't, like, naturally great. I just obsessive and, like, you know, my style, your style gets better with age, you know? Like, but I worked for it. I worked for it all, you know? So that happened. And World had to let me go. And then I started my own brand, All I Need, which the idea was just, like, I started thinking, I'm like, if I can't find a way to make a living off of my needs, like, off of things I need, which is, like, they're very modest, you know, like, then we're not in America anymore. America, like, I'm like, that should be, anyone could aspire to make a living off of their needs, you know? Like, our needs are modest compared to what they spend the fucking billions on war and destroying, giving us fucking fake healthcare and, like, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? Like, locking people up. Like, they found a good way in this I've always been dissentful because of, I've come from the projects and a broken family, and I've never been a winner of the economy, or, so, like, to me, I've always been like, no one's looking out for me. There's fucking poison all around, and they say they're selling it like it's fucking little kid shit, and, like, there's so...
We're living in America. Like, it's like, you know, the richest, you know, one of the richest countries in the world, and yet our poverty, like, the ratio is just so crazy, you know?
In America, you have the freedom to be wrong and make money off of being wrong, and that's freedom. That's what happens when you have freedom, you know? Like, the most powerful people and greedy people, because they want it enough, they'll go at it long enough, they'll accumulate it, and then that, you know? So, like, it's a double-edged sword, no?
I mean, speaking of, like, I also want to give it, like, a huge shout out to our writers, because, you know, a lot, like, we hear a lot, like, oh, well, you guys didn't pay your writers, you know, you guys didn't da-da-da-da, and it's like, what people don't know is that, you know, in the beginning, when they were losing their other sponsors, when the recession was hitting, their other sponsors were actually cutting them, you know, and in a lot of instances, you know, we actually were increasing their pay to compensate for what they were losing, you know, with their other sponsors, you know, and so we racked up this crazy credit card debt, you know, to keep, you know, kind of to shelter them, you know, to take care of them. And, you know, we ended up getting backed up against the wall, and when it came down to it, and I had to tell them, like, we can't, you know, we got to start cutting your pay and stuff, and I, you know, talked to every single one, and they were like, do what you got to do, you know, we've got your back, you know, the most important thing for us is that Consolidated continue. So we were like,
this is fucking cool.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I have to give them huge props, and because luckily, I mean, I guess maybe they saw, like, okay, they tried to do what they could, and now it's, you know, our turn, you know, and like, I just couldn't speak highly enough of them.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because, like, all my riders, I tell them, a lot of them are, you know, younger than me, not by much, some of them aren't, but I tell them, I'm like, I'll try to help you as much as I can, you know, and we can grow this thing together, and the more skills you gain, the more you, like, grow and keep going, and if we all keep going in the same direction, like, maybe we could earn something that, you know, we could live off of and do good for skateboarding and create the events, create the content, create the product, get the art out there, like, have it turned into creations, like you were saying, and, like, you know, but it depends, you know, everyone has to work together, you know? It's
yeah,
weird.
so, like, you know, the crew that we have now, and it's just, like, you know, we just Consolidated, yeah, it's had its fair share of drama and stuff, but, like I couldn't be more appreciative of the people that have, you know, stood by us, Alan and Karma and Bailey and Roberto, you know, those are the OGs, you know, and then we've got, you know, David Sanchez from Spain, and DeMarcus, James now too, and Mike Peterson, and, like, you know, it's like they, you know, we owe them a lot too for sticking by us, you know, and I just want to really give a huge shout out to them, because they're a huge part of the pie.
Yeah,
you know?
100%, and that kind of leads us into, like, that that kind of reflects on them, because the fuck Nike and that stance on something, to be that bold with it, for them, like, you know, that could hinder their skate career. So for them to understand that and still be like, no, this is what we're backing, that's admirable.
Yeah. No, I feel very, very lucky. You know, I hear stories about, you know, other teams and stuff, and like, every time I just think of our riders and I go, oh my God, they're all godsends. You know, they're just all the sweetest guys. You know, you see them, they're all tough and this and that, but I guess being a girl, I just see a different perspective, and they're so respectful, and they're just amazing.
Yeah.
Every single one of them I love them.
That's awesome. I do have comments. These are comments from Instagram, and I'm going into this because some of the wording on these are like kind of not attached to everything we were just talking about. They don't know all the history in the story, but I figured I'd read these comments, and maybe you guys could, if you want to say something, you can. If not, you can whatever. I don't care. This one's a little disrespectful, but I have to ask it just out of comedy's sake. Is they're saying, who smoked more crack, Andy Roy or Jake Phelps? So I don't know if either of them do, but that's still, to me, it's funny. But
that, because I don't know Jake that well. I would say that Andy has smoked a lot of crack, but I don't know about Jake.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Ask him. Gnarly. Yeah, I want to back to Andy Roy a little bit. The thing that was bugging me was that about that situation was he totally just like, you went up to him, you know, like a person to a person, and he just stuck to his gun, even though I feel like he knew he was wrong in a sense, you know, like he knows the story, right? Do you think he just chose to ignore certain parts of the story just because he wants to have an opinion about something? Because it's weird. The reason why I'm prying about this is because he did have, like, a camera crew with him, and, like, he was acting, you know? Like, I've been thinking about Andy, and I don't know him, and I hope to meet him. Maybe he'll be nice to me. Probably not if he listens to this, but that's fine.
I think a lot of, like I read, people were saying, you should have just let it go, and it's like, I get that argument, like, if it just happened once, you know, but it's happened so many times over the years that we had an opportunity to finally go and be like, because, I mean, in front of the camera, I sat there and I was like, Andy, here's your chance to tell the entire world why we suck and give them all the reasons. The camera's yours.
Nothing.
You know, and he threw out the Jesse Pius story, and we're like, okay, what else? He just said, I fucking ride for Jason Jesse, fuck Consolidated, and then he said, fuck Antihero. And I remember going, why would you say that about a company that has taken you out of the gutter so many times? You know, like, how could you say that? You know, and like, are you that much of an ingrate? You know, like, I get this whole Andy show and everything, but like, to say that, like, was just, and then bragging about like how much more he's stolen than they know of, and like, but then back to that day, you know, I mean, I sat there and I straight up, you know, like, Steve and I were not in his face at all or anything. We're like, tell the world why Consolidated sucks so bad. Give all the reasons you've got. And he ended up running away.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was like, so it's funny because after he left, then they interviewed Steve and me just on our own, just talking about it.
Did they put that in there?
None of it got put in.
No, and at the same time too, like before they want you to sign this thing, right? And I'm like, you know, I don't know that I want to sign this thing, like, glorifying this dude or whatever. And they're like, no, you know, there's so many people that feel the same way as you do, and
like, believe us, there's so many people, and I was ready to, because I was like, how bad can they portray this? I mean, I just saw what went down. Like, there's no way that it can be portrayed so bad. Like,
they did a good job, though.
Give me the paper, I'll sign it right this second. You know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, they were telling us, like, you know, hey, you don't know how many people feel the way you do. Totally, like, made us feel at ease. You know, it's like, but somehow we were the only ones that made the cut of all those people.
Yeah, it went to the Andy story. It doesn't fit with his narrative.
And I get what they're saying, you know, like if it's just some guy just spewing, no big deal, what he said about NHS, no big deal, haha, one side of the story. But it's because we had been hearing this, oh my God, for years, that we were like, and I also had this thing that I wanted to say to him, you know, from years back, that I was like, hey, I've got an opportunity. He's right in my backyard. Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to him. I'm gonna see why he hates us. I want to hear it. Like, I legitimately wanted to hear why he hated us so bad, you know?
Yeah, crazy.
And
yeah, I was like, the whole time I was just like, it just seemed like someone who was careless with their words and then didn't want to back them up. And other people, I was reading online, people.
oh, sorry. And then, you know, it's so funny because, you know, everyone's, you know, saying that Steve is a bully and Mike from Skidmark, who had called us, is a bully and this and that. It's like, but wait, who's the one that started this, and who's the one that went into, you know, Mike's face and said Consolidated sucks and this and this and this? It's like, we just went to, you know, to call him out on it and be like, okay, why do we suck? Like, so who's the one that was trying to be the bully? You know, it's like, Steve's not gonna, you know, I've known Steve for over 30 years and I've never seen him get in a fight. You know, it's like he's just not one of those guys. I mean, he's like twice the size of Andy. You know, he was waiting for Andy to throw the first punch.
You had some restraint.
I wasn't gonna punch him, you know, unless he threw the first punch. It would have been like, you know, I would have been a bully, I think, if I attacked the dude. But, you know, I just was giving him the chance. Like, you know, you're talking shit.
Let's hear it.
If you're gonna back it up, then go ahead, swing.
Well, I'm glad you guys went and confronted it. It does seem petty to do that, but I don't think so. Especially this day and age where people are watching, like, online, they're watching people kick each other in the balls and fucking reckless, like, stupid shit that goes viral, and then kids are emulating it, and people are. And, like, Andy Roy, I don't know the guy, but, like, I can tell he's kind of reckless, and he does some crazy shit, and he's entertaining to watch. And there'll be a lot of people that will believe everything he says, even if he's just being careless for entertainment purpose.
It's funny because this was really, actually, I started laughing was, so, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you start getting all this hate mail, you know, and messages and comments, and this one totally made me laugh was, you know, I started having someone like kind of defending our side, and they were going back and forth with this one person, and finally that one person was like, well, I'm just on here because I was instructed to do so. And I just started laughing like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, asshole.
Like, this is a joke.
Alright, I'm gonna go forward with these comments, alright? Yeah. Alright, Birdo, this one I saw a couple times. They're saying you can't grind. I think they're misunderstanding this.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to childish blow at me, you know, like when he was talking to Mike and said, you know, fuck Consolidated, fuck Birdo, he can't even grind Derby.
Derby, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's bullshit.
Yeah, and now people interpret that as you not being able to grind at all.
Yeah, grinding's like pretty much the first thing you learn skateboarding. So, and yeah, I lived right by Derby, and that was my home park. So
yeah, that did seem like a childish blow. And I know there's army of dudes out there that will believe you can't grind unless, you know, we have this conversation. All right, next one. Ask them how they feel about the whole sheep-ass industry fucking hating them because of a dumb show on Vice. Consolidated is tight back in the day. How do you feel about that?
Well, again, that goes back to what I had just said, was that someone just got on my Instagram and said, well, I just was told to get on here. I was instructed to get on here, so that's why I'm here. So, you know, it's sad that people can't think for themselves. You know, I think, you know, you'd think you'd at least do your research a little bit, you know, instead of going in blindly. But at the same time, again, if that's the way people want to live, like, let them live that way.
Well, I think he means, like, in the sense of, like, how do you feel about Oh yeah, exactly. You're right. You're nailing it. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Yeah, that's how they feel. They feel that way because the Vice show. Exactly. I read it wrong.
And I think earlier too, when you were talking about what we think about social media, and I think it's just part of it. You want unstoppable freedom of speech. It comes along with it. So you just got to accept it, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and we're not going off of that. Like, we're not here to try and convince the haters of anything. Like they can hate all they want. We're not trying to win anyone over. We're just here more for the support for our supporters, and hopefully reaching out to them, and so they can see that we really are who they think we are, and really that's to us, like, people are saying, oh, don't worry, any publicity is good publicity, and this and that. It's like, I could care less about that. I just want the truth out there. That's it. Whatever else people want or more interested in, so be it. That's their lives.
Yeah, anytime you take a stand, you draw a line in the sand, there's always going to be people that want to be like, fuck you about it, you know what I mean?
And it should be expected, it's like, because then all of a sudden you want the herd to be behind you if you can't take other people's opinions, so it's like, no, it's all's fair in love and war,
Yeah, there should be a stress test too to see if you guys really believe, like, just don't take everything at face value, especially nowadays. People can say whatever and then do the opposite, that's how things are sold and compromised all the time. It's good to like have a little stress test in your bubble. People like to live in a bubble though. We all do. Okay, we'll keep going. Ask them, wait. Are you guys going on tour? Do you plan to do any skate tours?
Well, we had Roberto and David come out this summer, and so they did like a lot of day tours, but they were so slammed like in making and doing our latest video, Never Say Never, that like I remember Roberto and David telling me at one point they're at the skate park. Roberto is filming DeMarcus skate, and David is in the corner with the computer editing the video. Like, that's like how tight on time they were, and so we were talking about doing a tour when they came out, but it's just there was no time. But them and Bailey went to Japan like I don't know, maybe a year ago and stuff. So we just do what we can. We'd love to do a U.S. tour, but just the way things are right now, and
save up some money.
Yeah, that's what people were saying. I remember seeing a comment online. People were like, "Oh, they came through. They hear so and so, and it was fucking awesome." And see what they're doing. A lot of people were concerned if you're giving back to skateboarding and doing events, or like, how are you doing it?
Yeah.
That's good to know. Having a skate team is like the way you do it. You have a skate team, and then you travel, and you guys create the videos, and like. It all goes back into feeding to the art, which you can put on the boards and sell, and maybe you can do the more trips. And
yeah, exactly. We flew them out, which is not cheap, from Europe, and had put them up here, and it's like, but they're super appreciative of everything all the time. That it just doesn't even. It's just a team effort, and so yes, we would love to do more. We would love it, but we're just strapped. And if we ever get the opportunity, yes, that is in the cards.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's cool that they were willing to like put out that whole content, because that's what you paid for. You paid for those memories and on digital, but also your friends are hanging out with you too, which is priceless. So it's like, yeah, let's invest in that for sure, right?
We got Carm out here and Bailey, and like we all got to hang together. We did an Airbnb down in Long Beach, and it was just all of us hanging out together, and it was just like priceless. Making dinners, like we were all like, we don't even want to go out, like, so we would just make dinner at the home and just hang out and drink beers, and it was rad. It was super fun.
All right, I'm gonna get through some more of these. All right, serious question. Ask them, since the debut of Consolidated, do they believe they have impacted the industry or at least informed the youth?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, and I think that's part of what like inspires. At least me personally, but probably Leticia too, is to keep going, is like when you get emails and you get stuff from people that are like, believe in what we're doing and are backing it. It's like for us that's the fuel. Like more so than financially, you know. Financially just means we can do more shit and try to get the message out more. But that's the reward is the feedback that you get from people, and
just having like a Don't Do It army that's all around the world, you know, and giving us letters to, you know, to motivate us. Because, you know, through the years, of course, we're getting beat down, you know, like especially when Nike was on top of their game and like, you know, we were the black sheep, you know, and to have people just be like, just keep doing what you're doing, you know, and we support you 100%. And for them to take the time out to send us that, like, is huge. Like, that they even took the time to write us that. Like, they didn't need to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
they just felt it, for sure. They appreciated it.
Yeah, it's very appreciated, for sure.
That's our fuel.
So yeah, so we feel, you know, we feel that there is youth out there that can relate to what we're saying.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good to feel that way, that you've had an impact with your efforts, because it's not without risk and time and money and effort.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. What kind of heat did they get from other companies in the early days when they had a rider get sponsored by other companies, so they used the free decks to put their graphics on?
Oh, yeah, that was a joke we did in a video where...
Kings of Promotion.
Yeah, Kings of Promotion. At the end, we did like this skit kind of where I'm like, yeah, get your best rider and dress him up to look like...
And you had got Alan.
Yeah, Alan. It's like, dress him up to look like nobody that you know, you know? And then you put together a sponsor me tape and you send it to all these different companies, right? And then I pretend like I was on the phone, you know, talking like I was the rider and tell them my sizes of shirts and what kind of boards I would ride. So then the product would come and then we'd paint our logo over it, and it was like, you know, how to start your skateboard company without any money.
And it was a total joke. Like, it never happened. Not close.
That's sick to play that out, though. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
Who knows? Maybe someone used it.
Yeah. For sure. I have people troll me. Like, there's been some people that have come up with some email that sounds so good. I'm like, I'll risk it just to send some boards. Like, one time, can't remember what it was, but I was like, it's only a couple boards. I'll send it. And I'm pretty sure, like, it didn't get to where it was supposed to be and someone just got free boards, you know? Like, what's that?
New brand, Scam Skateboards, and it's painting up, putting theirs.
Dude, I see it on Instagram. I see these weird accounts that are like telling kids they can get free skateboards, and I'm always very wary of this shit. I'm like, they're not going to give you anything for free without some sort of scam, like, but I see it. Alright. Someone wants to let you guys know they're setting up a GoFundMe to raise some prize money for a boxing match with him and Andy. So
if the money goes to charity, I'm in.
You're in. It's gonna go to pets. We're gonna help animals.
Alright.
Okay, we already asked about Scott Bourne, aka Black Armed and Dangerous. He never blacked out the cube tattoo, ?
Not as far as I know, no.
Nice. Check. Also, this person wants you to call Jason on the phone and ask him any of the old team riders. This guy's just bitter, so I'm just gonna... It is what it is. We already covered that, you know. Another person says Birdo should be thanking Andy Roy. If it wasn't for Epically Lated episode, no one would know the shitty company still existed. That, I seen, was like a lot. That's like kind of harsh. Like, it seems like too much invested as someone just angry for whatever reason. But what's Volterra 2.0? That's what I was curious about. What's Volterra?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that one up. Check. I thought maybe you guys knew. I thought maybe that was like an old company I didn't know about.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I don't know that one.
Alright, question. When are you going to re-release the OG BS Drunk Highs or Lows Best Shoe Ever?
Aw. Thank you. Whoever said that.
That was Brothers Skateboard Co.
Tell them thank you, Brothers Skateboard Co. You know, with the whole shoe thing, you know, because we're doing it on our own, you know, we're just kind of doing it like, you know, one or two shoe models at a time. And if people keep asking for them, we'll keep doing them. But it's a big investment, and so that we don't have. So we're just kind of going with the flow and seeing where it goes. You know.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions about the shoe thing. They wanted to know why the banana and why didn't you just make like just a different looking shoe without the banana. They were like curious if you were going to take what you were trying to do, if you're going to get serious about the shoes, or there was a lot of questions like that.
We have those same questions.
Yeah, we might.
We have the same question. We don't have a direction or a marketing plan or anything. I mean, we're just what we feel at the time is what's going to happen.
And we're just focusing on trying to make them the best quality as possible, and so that's what we're doing.
And what about the banana? Is that like because you had to decide to do that, knowing that it's like not everyone's going to be attracted to a big yellow banana on the side.
Yeah, that was in response to Nike.
Just that like bold statement for sure.
It was fun. It's fun, and we knew that it wasn't necessarily going to be mainstream, but this goes back to the thing of, are you making it for you and because you love it and you want to have fun and
it was more fun, like let's do something funny.
Yeah,
that's good. Did you move enough of them to make it worth it?
Yeah,
sure.
Awesome. That's a good feeling too, because then it sucks if you take a loss. So you take a risk and then you take a loss, but.
Yeah, we couldn't afford it to take a loss. We would have been bumming.
Yeah.
But no, it worked out.
Yeah, hell yeah. And it definitely made an impact. Whether people like the shoe or not, people talk about it,
Right.
So, ask him if he actually does jump people or only threatens it because he's a little bitch. Some of these I just left on so I could read them and laugh again later.
You could answer them.
Go ahead.
I'm not down to jump people, but if somebody swung on me, I'm going to defend myself for sure.
Yeah, I had that conversation after that about that. I was like, if someone touches you, you should definitely defend yourself. That's like the line I feel. You feel that way?
Oh yeah. No,
for sure.
He won't bow down, but he's not going to instigate it.
Yeah.
So, if I were a guy, I would not want to get in a fight with him.
Nah, he looks pretty big. You look pretty big. How tall are you?
6 foot.
Nice. Wow, you looked a lot taller. 6 foot's not as big as I thought. I was thinking 6'3", 6'4".
I was a little chunkier in the video, I think, too. I just finished about a 6-month back surgery rehab, so I was getting minimal exercise and a lot of donuts.
I remember when after we saw it, the first thing out of his mouth was, "I looked fat in there."
And you might have had a shot, dude. If he knew about the back surgery and knew that you were
third one.
Because I was watching it and I was like, dude, if you just looked big and healthy and maybe a little tubby, I didn't recognize that, but maybe. And he just looked like his teeth were falling out, and he was like, if you hit him, I just that would have been bad for sure.
Yeah.
Good, that question dragged something fun out. Took One Cottage says, how the fuck has Birdo survived for so long in the industry? Much respect. What do you think it is that makes you guys... Because how long has Consolidated been in business now?
We're going on 26 years in March.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I know. We still feel like babies. It's crazy.
I think we just try to work within our means, and money is not the top priority. So, we're good at working within our means and can downsize and kind of expand as necessary. And so, yeah, that's how we did it. Is if it had been all about money, we'd have been out a long time ago.
Yeah.
So.
Because it feels like when that money comes, it could turn into work, if you hit a certain level, it's going to become numbers. If you get enough people involved and a lot of people want success and fame and thing, and I'm like, It's like, it's a growing process. Like, if you get the flower right away, you might not be able to handle it. Like, we need to, like, build ourselves up to this, you know? Like, it's funny. That's why I was like, people are going to hit the lottery and they're not going to know what to do. They're going to give the money right back to the same shit they got it from.
Right.
Yeah. Nice. How do you feel you guys have survived? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I wouldn't be here if I didn't truly love Consolidated. Like, I couldn't, you know, like, the love for Consolidated is what has kept me here. You know, it's like, yeah, I have my MBA, you know, yeah, I could go, you know, we live in Silicon Valley, and, you know, and if it came down to it and I needed to go find a job in Silicon Valley and make more money, at least we could still keep Consolidated going, you know. And I think that you know, because I've been the one that has had the relationships with, you know, all the suppliers and shops and stuff, that they would understand, you know, and you know, I just tell them, you know, this is the deal, and we could keep it going, you know. Like, it's Consolidated is not something that we're like, okay, we're done, you know, I'm going to go find another job. It's like, no, I'm going to find another job so Consolidated can keep going.
Hell yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's something worth investing in, you know, whether it ever pays out or not, even though it does, like, in memories and people and, like, everything. Skateboarding gives back more than, you know, gives more back than anyone gives back to it. So it's, like, amazing. Like, it's awesome. That's awesome. And it's funny because, like, that I always think, like, what you guys are saying isn't that extreme, because I'm just like...
Yeah, you can relate, right? You're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
Like, skateboarders should do this, and yeah, people should draw lines, and there should be, you know, like, it shouldn't be all one way, because then it'd be shitty. If it was all street league or all something, I wouldn't want to skateboard, you know, like...
That's funny, because, you know, we don't look at other companies and see what they're doing, or this, you know, we just really, when we spend time, like, talking about stuff, we really just talk about what do we want to do with Consolidated, you know, like, it's just, that's just, you know, us, like, we just are into, what do we want to do with Consolidated, you know, like, not what's this guy doing, what's this company, you know, whatever. It's like, oh, this would be kind of cool, okay, yeah, let's do it. And that's kind of another cool aspect of having a small company, is like, we don't have that bureaucratic, you know, red tape, you know. It's like, if we want to do something, like, it can happen that day.
Yeah.
And you know, depending on money and everything, but, like, that's awesome. Like, I love that, you know.
Why do you think people get mad at what you guys do?
I don't know. You know, sometimes I think they just don't.
We're controversial, you know. I'm not saying we're not some cookie cutter company, you know. We're not like go with the flow, you know. We have our opinions, you know, and then maybe that's why they get aggro with us, because they disagree with us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, maybe our perspective's wrong, but, you know, if I feel like when people see it from our perspective, they get it, and if they don't, they don't, and, you know, our perspective, maybe it's not right. Shit, maybe it should be all corps that own everything, and we should all work for them. But you know, it's what we believe, and so we fight for it. And yeah, when people get it, they get it.
Yeah, I've never taken any offense. I've never been, like, mad at it. I've never, if anything, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Fucking good statements. These are funny. Like, it needs to be done. Like, it just...
Well, at the very least, you know, maybe it's just kind of food for thought for people to be like, oh, I guess I do matter, you know, when I go and buy that skateboard. I guess it does make an impact, you know, on somebody, you know, and...
It's on your dime, too. That's the funny thing, is you guys work and you've, you know, it's your dime. So it's like, yeah, that's a fucking good way to invest it. Congrats.
Not personal either. I mean, there was years back when K2 bought Planet Earth. I don't know if you remember, that was... So Chris Miller had Planet Earth, and you know, and I don't judge. Like, fuck it. Everybody does whatever they got to do, you know? And I'm not judging anybody about that. You know, I'm thinking Chris Miller, wherever he was in his life, and he felt like, fuck, I got to sell this company. And he sold it to K2. And so I ran this ad, you know, that said, it was like this kind of a joke investment report, you know, K2 acquires Planet Earth and blah, blah, blah. and they K2 makes like inline skates and skis and whatever. And so I wanted to let people know that went down, so that if they so chose, it can be like, okay, I'm not going to support that anymore. So
if they don't care, they don't care.
If they don't care, they don't care. But I wanted to at least let it be known, because I felt like K2 was hiding behind Planet Earth, right? Yeah. And so Chris Miller called me up because I sent the ad to Transworld, and they called him, and so they didn't want to run it. But anyways, I sent it to Thrasher also, and Chris Miller called me, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And I said, this is nothing personal, And he's like, "Well, everybody already knows, so why do you got to do it?" And I said, "Well, if everybody already knows, then what are you worried about?" And I said, "Hey, I respect you as a skateboarder. I've watched you for years, and it's sick." I said, "But I said, who signs your paycheck? What does it say on your paycheck?" And he's like, "K2." I said, it's not about you. Yeah. There's nothing with you, Yeah. And that one kind of turned into a controversy, because I remember he had told me on the phone, he's like, "I'm not the kind of guy that was going to like pull our ads or whatever. I just, I think it's lame." So then I called Thrasher, and I said, he said he won't pull his ads. And so they ran it, and then all of a sudden, K2, hits up Thrasher and threatens to pull their ads, and Thrasher calls me back, and they're like, "You fucker," And I'm like, "I swear to God, he told me like he wouldn't pull his ads." But that's the fear, and I get the mags, sometimes don't want to run stuff because it puts them in a weird spot, and I get it. But at the same time, it's frustrating when it's like, well, fuck, how do you let people know? I think people want to know this, and
Yeah, it's crazy. It makes me think. Actually, going back to what we were talking about before, was you asked about my shoe, and I have a shoe for World Industries again, which is crazy, because
awesome.
A different company bought up World Industries. They acquired it, and this guy reached out to me, and he was like, asked me, because I guess he saw the trail I left with World, which was like kind of cool, and he asked me about it, and was like, "Oh, do you know why World, like basically why is World awesome, and would you want to like be involved again?" And that was, to me, I was like, I already had my own skate brand. I'm working a 9 to 5, like doing both. I have everything I need. Yeah. So with the shoe with World, they came back to me, and the people that were in charge, I just like, they needed me, basically. They needed someone who loved the World Industries brand. And I do. I love the World brand. It was like, I see the legacy in World Industries and all the people.
How long had you been with them?
Oh man. It was like 5 or 6 years. We did a lot to add. But I'm going to be honest, like, I'm just relearning the history now about, like, where it was pioneered and all of that. I've been, through my podcasts and other ways, I've been digging to get the people on to hear the history and everything behind it,
Yeah.
It's so complex. It's a one-of-a-kind brand, And, but yeah, I got a chance. They said they'd give me a shoe and I could be the brand manager. And, I was like, sick. It seems like a really awesome opportunity to try to build off of and keep this legacy going, because I almost feel like I have to, because I know more about like why people like World than they do at some point, Like, I don't know. I love the characters. I know everyone loves the history of the skate side and stuff, but the fact that World has those 3 characters you can tell any story with. And I love art too, because when I was a little kid, I just loved drawing and animations and cartoons, and like, to me, that was the side that got me sparked on World. And then you start to hear about the stories and all the characters, and I mean, it's awesome. It's like so rich of a brand, and now I have the opportunity to build a team. I'm sponsoring this kid, Kevin Clem. He's from here. He's exceptionally good at skateboarding, and he's a fucking dork, which is awesome, And we were just trying to do cool stuff with that as well.
Side note, I've heard like, I've talked to shops and stuff, and telling them that we're going to do a podcast with you, and you have a really like supportive following. Like, I haven't heard one bad word about you, which was awesome.
I try to be transparent and honest about everything, and sometimes, I make mistakes too, as we all do, but the intentions are what matters, and if we keep getting better, and business is long, and communities, you learn and meet more people, and we can grow, and it's like, the healthier our skate community is, the better, and that comes with conversation. You're talking about brands and skate shops. These are family. These are people that love skateboarding and love each other because we see each other all the fucking time. Like, I love community. Skateboarding is beautiful in that sense. And you were saying it earlier about you want everyone to skateboard. They could be a kook, a mall grabber. Like, I feel the same way. I want skateboarding to enrich as many people's lives as it can, I've always been like, let them, if jocks want to be into skateboarding, fine. If the corporate people want to be in it, fine. But no one can have a monopoly, because then you box up the art and then it becomes stupid and like it's too controlled and it becomes a juggling act for money and points, and that's boring, and that's not why we skateboard. Or that's not why skateboarding, there's a rich side of skateboarding that has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So we have to defend those things, that's why I called it All I Need, the brand, because it's like, we have to defend our needs, like things we need in our lives. We have to defend them and draw a line and not let someone take it away, You don't have to put down other people's needs or whatever, but you do have to watch. They'll take your needs away. Next thing you'll know, you'll be living some lie where you're like trying to chase $1 million and you have a cocaine habit and you're fucking crashing housing bubbles, and who fucking knows? It's all a compromise somewhere, and it's just tragic to me. I'd rather see us grow and prosper,
I like that name for a skateboard company.
Thank you. And it's a reminder to me, is like, just focus on my needs, because then we can grow past the needs. You can, with my mom, I lost my mom, and her problem was she never realized that if she just took care of herself, she'd have everything, and she always fell apart because of trauma and violence, and she did drugs to kind of run, and it's one of those stories. And to me, I'm like, I always told her that, I'm like, if you just focused on yourself, like, just take care of your own emotional needs and your own everything, like, love yourself, forgive yourself, like that first, then you could take care of a family, But I never faulted her, because, like, she went through some shit that a lot of girls go through, where, like, real bad things happen, and it's, like, seems impossible to ever get over,
You kind of overcame a lot of odds, huh?
Yeah. I feel like a survivor as well. That's why I, like, admire what you guys have done and what you built. I'm glad it's alive in skateboarding, and it should be, because I would hate to have to juggle to have any sway in skateboarding or any participation, not even numbers or anything. Just if I had to fit into some other mold because it's so cool and they controlled everything, that would suck. Like, skateboarding should be for everybody, right? Like,
yeah.
And I feel like, that's why we have to test the boundaries and see where our freedom are. We got to go to those lines and figure out where they are so we can all live together, maybe. Figure out a balance in the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I got it all. Someone's backing you right there. That's a nice one. Oh, here we go. Oh, the Olympics. That was another thing. So, that's crazy. How do you guys feel about the Olympics? Because it's coming, right? No matter, it's going to happen, right? 2020?
I don't like it.
Say it again?
I don't like it, but, on one hand, I think it's great for the people, but I feel like it's one of those kind of corporate money grab things, and they use the athletes. Like, one thing that annoys the fuck out of me is that the gold medals, they're not solid gold.
Oh, shit. What are they, chocolate?
No, I think they're just like...
You're all peeling off the tin foil.
They're just like coated in gold.
Oh, bullshit, yeah.
So it's really just like symbolic, and I feel like, okay, so and a lot of the athletes, they have to pay their own way. They get these GoFundMes so they pay their way there. The Olympics is nothing without all these people, but they pay their way there, and here's these people just making so much fucking money off airing it all and everything. And then, yeah, maybe these people can get a couple endorsements or something from corporate America, but it's like, you win a gold medal, And the thing's not even solid gold. At least they could fucking make it solid gold. So you get, I got $50,000. Like, even like, what's that for winning a gold medal in the Olympics?
Yeah, you get a trophy.
Yeah, it's like, they just gold coat them to save money. Like, but who's fucking saving the money? Don't skimp on these athletes.
Yeah, make it something special for sure. It's the Olympics. Go for it.
Thing, right? Too. It's like people can't. They have to wear the swoosh. Like, they can't even wear their own sponsors. When they're out there, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Because, and it's like, what was that clause at that one?
Yeah, there's some clause where if, say you were going to be in the Olympics, you can't talk about any of your sponsors.
You can't mention All I Need.
A week before or a week after, and you have to wear their shit.
Wow. Are they gonna?
They'll sue you even, like, if you do.
Are they gonna wear like Are they gonna wear like uniforms and shit?
I think so.
You think they'd have to, right? You have to go along with the whole Olympics thing, right? I mean, well, what do snowboarders do?
I don't know. I don't watch it.
I don't. So.
Yeah, so I don't know. To me, that's frustrating. My thought was like, if you're gonna blow this stuff out, you need to bring it down to a level that matches where skateboarding's at, right? So none of these companies in skateboarding can afford to advertise during the Olympics, right? But those are the players that create the whole thing, So why does this fucking corporate thing get to just take skateboarding and
like you have a rider in there, but yet All I Need can't be in there anywhere?
Yeah, like associated, like they should want you to succeed, because you're helping them, you're putting on the show, you're bringing the greatness. If it's, it's the same with like an artist, like the artist can't get paid nowadays. They can't, like, they have to be poor, but it's like everyone appreciates their art so much, it's like strange.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I'm not into the Olympics, but I don't want to snatch somebody's dream or whatever, but it's not my thing.
It's just all it's out of skate. I feel like it's out of skateboarders' hands, and that sucks.
I feel like they did employ some skateboarders, right? But just it's that thing I was talking about earlier, where they employ skateboarders and they become just workers in the system, and they have to do whatever to make the cash, and then the cash ends or whatever.
They wouldn't know what the fuck to do if they didn't.
Yeah. Well, that would be funny, because then it would be like skateboarding in like a bobsled like type shit, or like it'd be such a weird interpretation. That'd be so funny.
The judges could be like, "Oh my God, radical!"
They're gonna do that for sure, dude. That's funny you're saying that it's not even real gold. It's like, God damn it.
Well, no, seriously, if you went to the Olympics and you won a gold medal, right? Like, fuck, you can't get $50,000 or whatever the fuck, the real gold's worth.
It's like an analogy for the American dream. It's like it breaks my heart.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all of a sudden one day you drop it and it just breaks in half, and you're like, how did that happen?
There was no substance. There was no substance to it. That's why it should be the American experience. We should experience those dreams, right? Our dreams are modest. Again, our dreams are modest compared to what they do with the billions and trillions of dollars of poisoning, killing, murdering, just over shit that's not even the human soul or spirit. You know what I mean? Like, it's always broken my heart. We don't have a poverty problem. There's some people, but a lot of it's mental health. They've been lied to, they've been sold some bullshit, and it's just like people are sold into debt for their education, something they're supposed to better them. It's like, it breaks my heart. It breaks my goddamn heart.
Yeah.
But I'm optimistic, right? Well, what else can you be, And things have progressively gotten better. We just have to, like, become a better version of what we were,
Yeah, totally. No one's perfect, we just gotta all realize our faults. I think that's the first step, and like look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, how instead of focusing and blaming other people, and just be like, okay, what can we do to better this situation,
Yeah. Even the people in power have to do that. People in high positions need to do that a lot together in some big bath or something. Just dump them all in there and be like, let's do it the right way and actually like help the only real thing we have, which is human spirit and soul. Like the only thing that's actually the one that's the another thing is like you have to take care of your own life, you know? Like that's the one thing that we have that is ours, you know? Like we should, in America, especially America, if we're the shining light, we should take care of people and help them and build systems that are actually good for them. Not just trying to sell them something. Not the American dream. It should be the experience. Like, stand by that.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's it. Is there anything else you guys wanted to cover? Any stone I didn't flip over? And if not, maybe where could people check out your stuff, the website, what social media you're on, anything you're working on, etc.?
Gosh, I don't know. You know, there's just...
I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered everything. You know, I'd like to also thank, you know, all the supporters that have stood by us throughout this whole thing and didn't get swayed for whatever reason, you know.
We have distributors and shit that's like, you know, your stuff doesn't sell so good, but we're going to always carry it because you guys are fucking rad.
Sick.
You know, which is cool. They'll support us even though they're not making money off us, and, you know, that's cool.
They respect it. That's awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, just like thank everyone around the world that and you know, I mean, writers past and present, artists past and present, you know, just so many people, web guys and customers. Like it's just want to say thank you because without them we would be not here.
Yeah.
26 years strong.
Yeah.
In something that's not very profitable. It's something a labor of love, but definitely worth investing every penny into.
Yeah. No, it's just been like I think back to like stories and things that have happened here and stuff, and I just, you know, I wish people could be so lucky, you know, like to experience the stuff that we got to experience and feel the love that we get to feel at a job, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Sick. And the website, Consolidated Skateboards?
It's ConsolidatedSkateboard.com, and then Instagram and Facebook is Consolidated Skateboards. Right?
Yeah. And near the website, though, if you put ConsolidatedSkateboards.com, it'll take you to the site.
When we had to only put Consolidated Skateboard in the beginning because it's when the internet first started, and we couldn't put that last S because it was too long.
That's funny.
And then stole it in the meantime, and then somehow he got it back. So
yeah,
magically.
A year ago.
Yeah, it was just recently that I got it back.
What I liked about your web store was that you guys say, you know, support your local skate shop, but if you don't live near one, you know, support a skate brand online from real skateboarders.
Rad. Oh, good. I'm glad you saw that. Because, like, we have this new platform, and it's like, you know, before we'd have it, like, front row and center before you even got on there, and, you know, you'd have to read it, but, like, so I'm glad you saw that.
Yeah, because I feel the same way. I always tell people, like, you know, if they live near a skate shop and our boards are there, you know, you can get them there, support the shop and the scene. The shops are usually the ones that throw the events, and the brands do too, and the events bring everyone together. And I've been doing a lot of filming lately. Filming is like something I really enjoy. Yeah, sorry, it's going off on a tangent, but that's awesome. I really like what you guys are doing, and I hope we can do this again. We'll let some life pass, and then we'll catch up again and see where things are.
And if you're ever out in Cali, make sure to come out and visit us and hang out with us. And
we're about in NorCal, right?
Yeah, we're about an hour south of San Francisco.
Nice.
Yeah, San Jose.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I think I went there back in the day. Yeah, if I'm ever in the area, I'll definitely come by and check out the warehouse or whatever, say hi, and it'd be sick to see everything.
For sure.
And same, if you're ever out here, Boston area, we have an awesome skateboard scene and community, skateboarding thriving out here. Like, there's a lot of core shops, and we do a lot of events, and there's a lot of people that are open-minded, and everyone's skating. I do tons of skateboard lessons, and like last weekend I had 2 different ones with 2 little like 8-year-old girls that were just into skating separately, you know, and I was like, this is so sick. So yeah, we do a lot of cool shit out here, so you guys are welcome to come check it out, and I got room at my house, whatever.
West tour going, and it's like you're gonna be one of the stops.
Bring Roberto out here. That would be sick. I want to skate with that dude.
He'll be leading the pack, though. Don't worry.
I'll put him to work. We'll go skate all around. We'll go to Boston, Providence. We'll get him skating, dude.
Do you ever see Sid?
It's been a little bit. I actually had him on the show, though.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Sid's the man. He did. He's doing good, man. And he threw the last 2 years. He threw a jam for Water Brothers, a big like come together in Newport, Rhode Island. It was pretty sick, man.
Right. Well, tell him we say hello.
I will for sure. And again, thank you guys. I appreciate this. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That all I need.